Welcome to our regularly scheduled commission meeting, February 28th, 2021. The time is now 7 p.m. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Bass. Here. Vice Mayor Irvin.
Here.
Commissioner Kelly.
Present.
Commissioner Williams.
Here.
Mayor Taylor.
Here. Commissioner Williams, can you lead us in prayer, please? Followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for all the many blessings you bestowed upon us this day and every day. Lord, we continue to ask that you be a covering over our city, our residents, employees, and everyone that have a vested interest in our city. Continue to build us and continue to let us be the city of bright opportunities. And these things we ask. Amen.
Amen. I pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Madam Clerk, I see that we don't have any awards, proclamations, or acknowledgements. All right, moving down to our consent agenda. Do I have any pulls, deferrals, or deletions from the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor,
Madam Clerk,
the city manager would like to defer 1311, 1312, and 1314.
so 11, 12, and 13. All right. Any other pulls or deletions or deferrals from the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Williams?
Mr. Mayor, 1314. Not 13. 14.
Okay,
So 11, 12, and 14.
oh,
okay, so 11, 12, and 14. All right. Commissioner Williams, you have the floor. I'm sorry.
okay. I would like to pull 13-2, 13-3, 13-4, and 13-15.
All right, anyone else?
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Kelly?
thank you. I'd like to pull number 9.
Okay. That's it, Commissioner Kelly? Yeah.
And 11, 12, and 14 were already deferred, correct?
Yeah, they were already deferred.
Okay. And also number 13. Thank you.
Any-
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Bass?
would you allow Commissioner Williams to repeat her polls?
Sure, Commissioner Williams?
Okay, it's 13-2, 13-3, 13-4, and 13-15.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? You good? All right, so for the record, we're pulling 2, 3, 4, 9, 13, 15. That's 2, 3, 4, 9, 13, and 15. The deferred items were 11, 12, and 14. Right, sir?
6.
You want to
Number
pull
6.
number 6?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so going backward, we have on the pull list 2, 3, 4, 6, 9, 13, and 15. Is that right? All right, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Williams,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bass. Madam Clerk?
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, who pulled number 6? Vice
Vice
Mayor?
Mayor pulled number
Okay.
6. And the motion was made by Commissioner Williams, seconded by Commissioner Bass.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
Commissioner Bass.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin.
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right, can I get a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Bass,
Second.
second by Vice Mayor. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Williams?
Yes.
Commissioner Bass?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Mayor Taylor?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right, approval of the minutes, we have any District 1 and District 2 reports? Seeing none. All right, public presentations we don't have. All right, we're getting ready to go into our citizens forum. Madam Clerk, can you please state the protocols for participating in citizens forum?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening. City of Opa-Locka Commission meetings are held in person at the Opa-Locka Government Center, City Commission Chambers, 780 Fisherman Street, Opa-Locka, Florida. Members of the public wishing to address the commission may do so in person or virtually. Those persons wishing to participate virtually should register prior to the scheduled meeting time on the city's website at www.opalockafl.gov. When speaking before the commission, please make sure to give your full name and address for the record. There is a 3-minute time limit for public comments. Please adhere to the decorum policy, which is part of the commission meeting agenda. City commission meetings are aired through live stream at www.youtube.com/user/City of Opa-Locka. And at this time, Mr. Mayor, I do not have any virtual public comment.
Okay, citizens forum is open.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Renan Russell, and I'm here representing the Lewis family. I reside at 13985 Northwest 22nd Place, immediately to the west of the canal. The canal is essentially my background. I'm writing to express my concerns regarding the development plans for the 22nd Avenue Canal, particularly concerning the canal bank restoration. As a homeowner in the area, recent restoration projects have been incomplete, leaving significant portions of the canal neglected. It's crucial to address this issue comprehensively to ensure the entire area benefits from restoration efforts. Additionally, I kindly inquire if construction could commence on the west bank, which has been neglected in previous projects. Starting there would ensure that the project reaches us in a timely manner. In conclusion, I respectfully require that the Opa-Locka City Commissioners provide clear and comprehensive updates on the canal bank restoration, any reclaim maintenance easement, and slope protection initiatives. As stakeholders in our community, homeowners deserve transparency, accountability, and meaningful participation in decisions that impact our neighborhood's future. Thank you for your attention to these important matters.
Thank you. Citizens forum is still open.
Good evening.
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
My name is Celia Pruitt. I reside at 2350 Northwest 141 Street. The reason for me being here tonight, not to make any trouble, anything like that. First, I'd like to commend all of you all on the podium for a job well done thus far. You have put the citizens first, and we've had a good time. Last year was awesome, and I'm so sorry that I missed the 70th bash, because I was really could have showed y'all a little something on the floor. But anyway, but a job well done. Thank you. I'd like to give Mr. Leonard his props. We had about 3 weeks ago now, it was a homeless guy. He made such a mess of things. I felt bad for him, but where he was located, it was such an eyesore right there on Northwest 26th Avenue, that warehouse right behind Northwest Seafood. And he had his buggy, he had cans. He had some of everything going there. And I know if I seen it, I know others had to see it. But, you know, it was just frustrating that I needed to call to make a complaint, but they sent someone out, but they directed me to call Mr. Leonard, and he right away got some of his workers and they cleaned it up properly. So I just want to give him props for doing that. Also too, I noticed on Northwest 22nd Avenue and Northwest 135th Street, the grass and the hedges need to be manicured, need to be cut. We have incoming traffic and outgoing traffic into city of Opa-Locka. So it just need to, we're going into the spring and it's time for spring cleaning now. We need to get back to business, and I'm available, Commissioner Kelly, because you know we do our thing here. So just I'm waiting to get some flowers and and get things beautified for our city, so that way it can be appealing to potential businesses to bring their business to us, so that we can patronize them. But we need to clean our house up. The holidays are over now. So let's get things back in order. And I'm available for that. That's something that I love to do. I love to put my hand in the dirt because I'm praying at the same time. So that's no problem for me. So let's just get busy with that. But 3 minutes up,
Yes, ma'am.
y'all already know I got my back up. Let's go. I'm not done yet.
Lisa Cunningham, Opa-Locka, Florida, 13815 Northwest 23rd Avenue.
Thank you. I have since talked to Mr. Leonard off the record. We're gonna work together to see about getting the debris at the edge of the canal banks, to see about getting a pole net so that we can get that debris pulled up from out of there and get things cleaned up. I'm a stickler for cleanness. So we just need to be able to get things straightened out, get some more stuff painted and whatnot, and just do the upkeep, because we're going to be having April showers soon. So we just need to get those flowers and different stuff, what we need to do, and have our city workers to go out and pick up the trash, within the city. If you see something out there, pick it up and just kind of keep things clean. We can't invite people into a dirty home. And you can't invite them to your table if your kitchen not clean. Let's get things where it needs to be. But other than that, I'm good. You all have done an awesome job. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, I'll go sit down.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Pruitt. Citizens Forum is still open.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Brian Dennis, address 2140 York Street.
Good evening.
I'm here now about the car, about my truck that the tree fell on. And it was a nice meeting with the manager's office when I brought it up last week when we were talking about the music fest. So I was told that it was a great area because of the swell supposedly belongs to the property owner, which I was riding around the city, and I'm gonna give you a great area. The canal on 141st Street got trees around it. The canal belongs to the state, and sometimes the state or the county cleans it. Who's responsible for the trees? Gray area. So what I've done, which I'm gonna upload to you all tomorrow, is an estimate of what the car was valued at. It was valued in between $8,000 to $13,000. All I'm asking for is and I have the case card in which Officer Harsborough and Officer Tiborn, if I'm pronouncing his name right, Tiborn, he gave me a case card in which the chief came by and basically, was like, they apologize, but they sympathize with what had happened. And all I'm trying to do is just get the money back that I just paid for a car that I really didn't have to pay for. You understand what I'm saying? So I would definitely make sure that you all get this in your emails tomorrow, and hopefully we could get this done soon with some type of resolution. That's it for this evening. Oh yeah, y'all look nice, y'all seeing y'all with y'all African stuff on. I see you.
Citizens Forum is still open.
Good evening, Drew Dominguez, 1147 Jan Avenue. I wasn't gonna speak on it because I saw that an item was pulled, which is the resolution regarding the city's monthly food distribution program. And I always gear to the citizens and the citizens' needs. And I see every time I pass by there, when the food is being distributed, the people are there from early in the morning. These folks need that food. They rely on that food, and a lot of them are elderly. So I just hope that this doesn't get pushed back and it is approved, because if we have funding, if we have millions of dollars sitting around, we need to invest, especially after our taxes were raised. So payback. Thank you.
Okay. Citizens Forum is still open. Citizens Forum is closed. All right, quick recap with Mr. Manager. The Lewis family brought up about the canal restoration project and how they're requesting it to start on the West Bank and how they would like to be abreast of what's going on that. Can you speak to that, please?
Yes, sir. We've already had Randall Robinson, a great presentation, by the way. Very well stated by our resident. We appreciate that. We thank you for that. We've had Randall Robinson, our city planner from our community development department, already address them, get their contact information. We will be providing them with updates and any information that they need regarding that project, and also seeking their feedback as we move forward.
Okay, so the only thing that I'm going to ask and suggest that if there's addressing it, and I'm sure others in the area are as well. So maybe we need to do a campaign and go door to door and let the residents know what's going on, when, who, what, when, where, and why, and get everybody's feedback so that everyone in that area is on the same page as it relates to the canal restoration. And when is that project set to start?
I can get dates from our one of our department heads if you want me to pull them up.
Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Kelly?
Thank you. My sentiments exactly. Normally with major projects such as that, the surrounding neighborhoods that are impacted would be notified in advance that it's even coming, whether it's sidewalks, whether it's canal easement, or in this case, which is restoration. So did that take place already? I know we're saying we're gonna get in touch with them now, but does that take place, or has it taken place? The residents were notified it was even coming, because if they've already started and have a date to start, and the residents are asking, can they start on a different side? I'm wondering, is it too late to even do that now, or can it be changed? Because usually on the front end, you notify the residents, business owners, whoever's impacted about a major project. So I'm just curious, did that take place as well?
To the mayor, to Commissioner Kelly, yes, sir, that did. Notice did go out to the residents for the Billington Street Canal Project Phase 1 construction. The notice was hand delivered to residents and businesses in the area. And also the project included the scope in the notice: dredging, bank restoration, and stabilization with slope correction. The project did start on Monday, January 22nd, 2023, and that was also provided in the notice.
Okay. So that means the residents that came tonight, I guess they didn't either get it or not aware of it, because you said 2023, correct? Mr. Manager?
My apologies, 2024, sir.
Oh, well, it was noticed before it started.
Yes.
Okay, so that means they didn't get the notice or whatever, because they're asking, can it even be started on a different side? And if we've noticed it that far in advance, I'm sure the planning has already been done. Am I correct? Or
Yes, sir.
So I don't want to leave you with no false hope because apparently we sent out the notice, according to the manager, to everyone in the impacted area. So there's your answer there. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Manager.
All right, Mr. Manager, just asking to do maybe another round to get everybody on the same page. And Ms. Pruitt, thank you for shouting out Mr. Leonard. He does an awesome job keeping our city clean. And you are right, you do love cleaning. And I'm sure we will be calling on you for all of our projects that we come up when we do our cleanups. Mr. Dennis talked about his car, Mr. Manager, you're gonna have a meeting with Mr. Dennis, but he left, so.
Yes, I'll request another meeting with Mr. Dennis in case he needs clarification on.
And Commissioner Dominguez, I guess your issue that you brought up, we'll discuss further when we get to the actual item. All right, so citizens forum is closed. Thank you all for coming out and expressing yourselves. So we're gonna move right along to our consent agenda. Madam Attorney, 13-2.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-Locka, Florida, authorizing the interim city manager to allocate funding until September 2024 and fiscal year 2023-2024 budget for the city's monthly food distribution program, services provided by Feeding South Florida, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by Commissioner Kelly.
All right, can I get a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Kelly,
Second.
second by Commissioner Williams. Commissioner Kelly, you can go ahead and introduce your item.
Thank you. This is an item that I was hoping to have last meeting. Of course, I wasn't here, so I had to have it deferred. If you notice in the package, we've been doing here in the city, farm share at one location in Feeding South Florida, the third Friday over at Siegel Park. Unfortunately, we were notified last year towards the end that they were no longer going to provide the free service, if you will, for bringing the food for our residents. And so what I'd hoped to do was try to find initially some sponsors every month, but that became kind of challenging to get commitments. So what I decided to do is to bring it forward to the commission. And as the resident said, we've got money for a whole lot of things. So I decided to bring it forth and let it become, if necessary, a commission-sponsored item, because initially it was just being hosted by 3, but it could become a commission-sponsored item for the rest of the year. We've already lost 2 months of January and February without the feeding, but I did not want to take it upon myself to make a commitment because these are city dollars that we requested. And as you see in the breakdown information, according to their calculation, the anticipated cost for 200 families. So that is the reason it's there for the commission to make a decision on whether they want to continue it or not. There are opportunities to sometimes do it maybe quarterly or as a part of a special event. And obviously that cost will be bared by whatever is going on. But for a monthly distribution like we're doing, that is the cost. And I would just add, and my colleagues can attest, we do have basically 2 separate types of items that come. Normally with farm share, it's more canned goods, meat, things with bread. Normally with Feeding South Florida, it's more healthy items. You know, a lot of greenery that a lot of our elderly and folks need, that they need to have for, you know, the doctors want to be healthier. So that occurs as well. But it's before the commission and to make a decision, however we decide. That's the reason for the item. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so this item was pulled, so.
Okay.
Commissioner Williams?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I pulled the item because I did have a few questions and also concerns. Let me start off by saying that one thing we know needs to happen is we know that our communities are food deserts, and continuing to sponsor or have food distributions throughout the city is always a great thing to have. what gave me a little pause was for $40,000 a year or $3,333 a month, only vegetables, no meat. And I think to me, and this could be to the sponsor or to whoever want to answer, but I heard the sponsor say that after seeking other opportunities and some of them, and I'm sure some of them were effective and some of them weren't. But I also know that after the pandemic, a lot of other cities, including the county, had to pull back. I'm sure we saw Feeding South Florida a lot more places than we do now. There were a lot of areas that had Feeding South Florida. So we know that the largest in its entity, our county, also had to shut down and close some of its distribution sites as well. So that's, to me, it's the amount. I'm wondering if that could be negotiated or brought down, or what can we do with that price? And then, or maybe it's not just a month, but every other month. Then my next question is the food distribution only for residents, or is it open for everyone? And how, if it is residents, or do we collect their addresses? Is there a clipboard? How do we know that the assumption is that we're providing for our residents, but then on the flip side, we're purchasing a bus for our seniors because they don't have transportation. So if our seniors don't have transportation, specifically from, our neighboring nursing homes, or to even get involved in senior activities, well, are these the same seniors that are going through in their own cars, driving through the monthly distribution, or are these seniors from outside of our city? So are we really, do we have any quantitative data that we're collecting that we're providing this for our seniors, or is this just, of like visual? And third, we have multiple food drives in the city. Like, I don't know if we all know that, but there are multiple food drives in the city. So I'm just wondering, can we not put together a quantitative list of all those food drives that are happening in the city and support through that, as opposed to, paying $40,000 just to say that our city hosts Feeding South Florida, which I can tell you the larger governmental entities are closing down Feeding South Florida in their own, that have multi-billion-dollar budgets. So those are my questions. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Kelly.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner, for your concerns. Let me begin by saying this resolution deals with 9 months, which is 29,700. The legislation calls for the commission to take a review at the end of the year, and that's probably where you can get your quantitative data to see how many residents are being served and whether it's worth it to go forward. The way both of these programs work, and all of those that you see all over the county, the cities, and Dade and Broward, you cannot say your residents only, because the funding comes from various sources, both state and federal. So you can't just say Opa-Locka residents, just like our folks go to other agencies outside of Opa-Locka and get food or whatever they're getting. So you can't just limit it to our citizens. What you can do, as we already do, we take the names, we take the information. Matter of fact, Feeding South Florida actually has a database because they started last year doing it on the computer system with the iPads, so they can have a pulse of how many folks are being fed. But in terms of the city, we can quantify that data if the commission decides to go forward with the program at the end of this fiscal year. It could be analyzed to see whether it's worth it to continue, or maybe every other month. I don't have a problem either way it goes. I just know that if we can find funding for a lot of these other things we're doing, we can find funding to feed our community. And although it may be half of our residents and half not, that's still our community. That's still our residents. And to your other point about the seniors, the park director is here. My colleagues are here. They are here. They could tell you the seniors come over in the bus and pick up their items. Some of them drive, but the seniors bus actually comes over and they get their items every time we have feeding, whether it's Farm Share, Feeding South Florida, they're getting the items just like everyone else is in the community. The other point about the meat versus vegetables, the reason I said that because usually with Farm Share, there's always going to be at least one meat item. That does not always occur with Feeding South Florida, but they do provide meat in some cases, just like they did for Thanksgiving time where they had, gave us an additional, well, they gave us 300 or so turkeys as a part of our distribution. And other times they do have meat, but most of the time it is vegetables, canned goods, grab bag. Some of my colleagues can tell you because they've had to work out there. You don't never know what's in the bag. You never know, but it's items that can be used by the community. Again, it's up to the commission. I don't have a problem with not doing it all. I have a problem with doing it every other month, but I thought it fitting to bring it before the entire commission because I'm going to say this again, and we can find money for everything else. We can find $29,000 to finish the program that has started this year. And then if the commission wants to look at it and decide this is not worth it, it's not enough, or we can find some volunteers, or we can find some, organizations to come in and fund it, I have no problem. I've been doing it a long time. My desire is just to have the programs. And the reason we have them on both sides, because some folks can't get to one side of town, so we even took that excuse away by having one on each side of the community. And I would also say to my colleagues, I know, you're working, you can't get there. It's not just community, but our employees come too. Our employees benefit from this feeding program as well. And the manager can attest, because I always would send him a email, correct, Mr. Manager, Mayor to the manager, saying to the employees to come over and get food items. Am I correct, Mr. Manager?
To the mayor, through the mayor to Commissioner Kelly, that is correct. We do send an email during lunchtime to allow the employees of the city of Opa-Locka to go and pick up items if they so choose.
So it's not just a few, but again, it's before the commission. However the commission wants to do it, if they feel they can find sponsors and not take it out of the city's whatever fund, that is fine. It's before us in the whereas as creating through a budget amendment too, which if we get into these budget amendments, stuff that we're doing, I'm quite sure we can find $29,000 for the rest of the year. And then the commission decides they don't think it's feasible, doable, or worth our effort because it's not servicing enough of the community, then they can make that decision. But that is, I hope I answered your questions, Commissioner. If I didn't, please ask again. I'll try to clarify.
Thank you.
Okay.
To the, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, go ahead. Commissioner Williams.
You are correct. I know you stated several times that we find the money to do the things and that fact, I'm sure, and I would agree with you with that. I think the only question, and again, I don't want it to be looked at in a light of I don't want to feed our community or not continue the program, because again, I think the program which is it's needed in our community. I think again, it's the fact that it's taxpayers' dollars. So when it was Feeding South Florida or Farm Share, those programs were free and they were given to the community. But now these are tax dollars that we're now saying we're now going to use for non-residents. And so because there's no database, that's again, I'm just gonna say that it has absolutely nothing to do with not wanting or not wanting to provide, because as I've stated before, we are in a food desert, and of course, providing vegetables in and of itself is always a great thing for our community. But again, if there's no database, and we have, as Commissioner Dominguez stated, a long lines of seniors that are waiting for this food, but we don't have a database because we know that Farm Share and Feeding South Florida can't do a database because they don't have, because it's not taxpayers' dollars. Those are mostly nonprofit dollars that are given to them by companies and organizations as tax write-offs. But this, what we're asking for is now taxpayers' dollars going to non-residents. So what I would like to see, and not to, but what I would like to see just moving forward, if we do vote this in, is that we create a database during these last few months or 9 months or how many months it's asked to continue, that we do build a database to see, is this viable for us to now pay $40,000 or, whatever, if we aren't reaching our community. And like it was stated before, yes, I agree, reaching 50% of our community, but I think our tax dollars should reach 100% of our community, not just 50%. And so that's the part that kind of gives me a little pause, but I'm done. Thank you so much, Mr.
Mr.
Mayor.
Mayor,
Commissioner Kelly.
I want to say to my colleague, I really tried to address that in section 2 because it says the city manager is further directed to evaluate the feeding program and make a recommendation as to whether it should continue for the next fiscal year. So I don't have a problem with your suggestion or your recommendation. If you want to put it in there as part of section 2, the attorney can tell us where it goes. You want to use the term database or whatever, that's fine, but that's what section 2 is intended to do, to evaluate to see if it's something that we should continue to do. And that's in section 2 of the resolution. And I'm gonna go one step further and just say this. I think because of food insecurity, particularly in our community, as we see, and we heard Ms. Pruitt talk about the gentleman that's out there and homeless, and I get a lot of those at Meet Me Monday. I'm quite sure all of us see folks who are in need, and all of them have challenges sometimes with food insecurity. I would like to see at some point one day where the city has its own food pantry so that we can get the food, get the items, and be our own keeper of being able to assist our residents. Because when you have that, then you can make it specific to your residents, to your community, because you're in charge of the entire program. And I think that's something futuristically that the city needs to look at, a pantry effort. We did have that at one time many years ago over at Ingram Park in the Senior Citizens Building, because those back 2 rooms were actually designed for pantry, big freezers, the whole 9 yards, because food insecurity is something that is not going to go away. So I would hope that's something, as we look at the data, to see that may be viable or doable. But I hope section 2 captures your concern. But if not, if you want to make an amendment to use that language, the database, I have no problem with that, Mr. Mayor, to my colleague.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Kelly.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Bass.
I agree with my colleagues as it relates to food insecurities in our neighborhood. However, I did some research as it relates to how many feedings we do have in the city of Opa-Locka monthly. And if my research is correct, we have between 11 to 18 feedings per month in the city. I believe that we should have a collaborative effort with some of these feedings to secure, more food for our residents. But as Commissioner Williams pointed out, it's not a good thing for us to use our taxpaying dollars for non-residents. We go to Miami Gardens, don't matter what it is, we're gonna pay. We pay for it. We don't drive through Miami Gardens for free. We pay for it. Their swimming lessons, their after-school programs, whatever have you, their football, basketball, baseball, we pay for it. And I know it might sound a little heartless, but let truth be told, we are responsible for our own residents. We are responsible to do what's necessary to help them with food insecurities. But at this point, seeing that we have between 11 to 18 feedings in the city monthly, I believe that there's sufficient right now, as it relates to having enough food. I mean, you never really have enough, but something to start with and take a moment and revisit this item, you know, put our ducks in a row, get it together, and then move forward. But as of right now, I will not support this for the main reason we have so many feedings in the city monthly between 11 to 18, and that is a lot.
Thank you, Commissioner Bass. Any, I wasn't gonna say anything, but Commissioner Bass, you said something. I'm a little challenged by the statement that we're not taking care of our residents. And we question on the social services side of it, but when we do entertainment, the people that are patronizing those activities are not always all Opa-Locka residents. So if we can do it on the entertainment side, then we can definitely do it on the social services side. So that's why I'm a little torn by that statement, because we have things and it's packed out there. Though there are some parameters in place when we do certain entertainment things, right? Like the toy drive, we take data and stuff like that. But those open entertainments, I'm gonna say, use that term, that we have, we're not collecting data. We're not saying if you're not Opa-Locka, you can't come. So I that's where I'm challenged with that statement, because if we can do it on the entertainment side, then we could sure do it on the social services.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Bass.
I understand what you're saying. I do understand what you're saying, because we do have that issue in some of our events that we do, right? I mean, it's blatant, our bingo, whatever. We do have a lot of people show up that is not our residents. And if we were, well, that's another subject, but right now, like I said before, because of the amount of feedings that we already have in the city, it's not like if we don't have any, or we have 1, 2, or 3, we have about 18 per month. So I understand what you're saying, but 18 is a lot. If it's 11, it's a lot.
Okay,
Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Williams.
So I think for me, what I wanted to do is build the database, because we know this, of course, as we continue to move away from, the pandemic and everything, all type of services. I see it in the school system with ESSER funds, intervention funds, and I can go on and on. And I'm sure if you have children, you see it too. So as we move away, less funds will be taken from cities in these for social services. But what I want to say is, it's not that I'm against the item. I would just like for us moving forward during these last few months to build a database. I know Commissioner Kelly said it will be through the city manager's office, but if that language could just be a little bit more clear, that that database will be collected through the last few months, so that we can ensure moving forward next year, we know that if this is a viable thing to do, because we're reaching our residents. And then if it's not, because, and I totally understand the activities versus, this is different. It's, we're talking food and toys, and so those are things that, are needed. So I think for me that I can swallow it a little bit more if I know moving forward. And I love the idea of having our own pantry, and maybe that then would be our next step moving into the future and beyond. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor,
No problem. Commissioner Kelly.
to my colleague's point, it says for the manager, so you have another alternative in terms of how it would be evaluated? Is that what you're recommending?
Well, I think because it says for the manager, that means that we're leaving it in their hands, the manager's office hands, to think of whatever evaluation system, I'm saying I want to be clear in the language that the manager's office will collect a database of residents as they go through, because our employees are actually out, you know, they're handing out and distributing the food. But even moving forward, I mean, we should even be, we've seen food distributions where people actually have to RSVP or actually have to apply before they come. So we're just going, you know, we're handing, no problem, but just to make sure moving forward, we know, we have good data so that we can, go to the next step.
I don't want to continue. I just want to the commission can vote it up or down, how they feel. But to my colleague, and I don't want to, let me correct the misinformation. City employees no longer pass out food. That was stopped. And it was just stopped. It wasn't even emailed. It was just all of a sudden one feeding farm share. They came to the tables and they left. So they don't even do it. Volunteers do it. Who come in and help and assist, but staff does not, quote unquote, pass out food anymore. But if the language you prefer is to have the manager to do the evaluation, bring it back to the commission for final recommendation approval, I have no problem with it. However the commission wants to do. That's
Okay,
fine with me. I'll accept that.
Commissioner Kelly, I think, and I agree with Commissioner Williams, I think what she's saying is that she wants a detailed layout of what the data is. So I'm gonna make a motion that the data that's collected through the manager's office includes name, address, phone number, email. And then also we do a count of everyone that is there and then compare that to the Opa-Locka residents that actually received at that time. And that goes on every feeding. And then at the end of, I think this is the 9 months?
This is just 9 months.
9 months, at the end of the 9 months, if this is to pass, then the manager will present this data back to the commission, where we begin to discuss and see which way we're going going in the future. Be it a pantry, which I do like the idea, because South Florida does that, a pantry, or if we're gonna continue with the feeding. Is that?
Perfect.
Okay, so Madam Attorney, that is my motion on this item. And I think you said it was in the second whereas, Commissioner Kelly, or the whereas? Well, I guess the attorney can put it where she feels deems fit.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I will add it to that, that authorization section 2 clause.
Okay, so can I get a second on the motion made? Second by Commissioner Kelly. Let's vote on the motion, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Irvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Bath,
No.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes,
Motion passes 4-1 on the amendment.
okay, and now we can actually vote on the actual, well, I'm sorry, Vice Mayor, go ahead.
It's okay. Mr. Mayor. I'm torn over here with the whole thing. Do we have to use Feeding South Florida? Because we have other nonprofits that give food as well. So are we stuck with Feeding South Florida?
Mr. Mayor, to the
Commissioner Kelly.
we're not stuck with them. The challenge we have is we're in the middle of feeding so there was no other way for us to continue, and I wasn't going to sign nothing saying continue, so I had to bring it to the commission. What you're suggesting, people that may donate meat, may donate bread, may donate vegetables, which they do to a lot of nonprofit. That's why I brought up the idea of the pantry, because that's where the pantry would fit in. You would have a pantry where, and I know you've done this, people donated meat. Well, you would put that in the pantry, as opposed to maybe you couldn't go out in your golf cart that day and pass it out. You take to the city's pantry, whatever the parameters we have, it's open 9 to 12, 5 to 7 in the evening. That's where that would fall into line. But no, we're not stuck with them, but they're the ones that are doing it at this point on this wholesale level. To do what you're suggesting, we've got to actually go out, reach out to them, probably and I'm not an attorney, get some MOUs done that says they agree to do whatever, give it to us this date. Because once we say, for example, we're giving out whatever we're giving out, people are going to show up. Now, as you know, and you've probably seen, and all of us have, sometimes people have surplus of this. I know at my church, we used to get bread. Sometimes public got a lot of bread, sometimes public has no bread. So this allows us to finish the program for the rest of this fiscal year. Then the commission can evaluate what they want to do going forward. But it's not something that I could do on my own. As I told some residents, because we haven't been doing it, it has come before the commission because it's $29,000 to finish for the rest of the year. If the commission decides, which I hope they do, go the pantry route after collecting the data and seeing it's more beneficial, put a staff person there, put whatever volunteers or whatever there going forward, that'll be fine. But right now, to even go out and get those MOUs and get would take us a while. And I mean, I don't know how long, maybe the attorney or even the manager can say, how long does it normally take to get an MOU done to maybe what the vice mayor is suggesting, going out to get agencies or entities? Mr. Mayor, to the attorney and the manager, because both of them deal with MOUs, how long does that process normally take?
Madam Attorney or the manager, you want to weigh in?
Yes, I'll weigh in since it's my office that normally negotiates those MOUs, and then they're brought to the city attorney for legal efficiency before being approved by the commission. And it really depends on the subject. It can range easily 90 days. Easily.
Yeah. And that's one, because I actually thought about that too, because I know you've been out there and I've done it through my church, but the time to get it done, and it's got to come to the commission because it's a city project. It's a city initiated goal. So I thought this was the simplest and easiest way to continue the program, and then the commission could reevaluate. And I'm still going to go back to what I said earlier. This is $29,700. All of us up here know we spend way more than that on stuff that we're not even sure what takes place. And I didn't want to get into that discussion. If the commission has a pause, I like the idea of doing that, but as the manager indicating, 90 days. So if it takes us 90 days to get meat, the bread, or some of our produce folks that could give us whatever, that's something I think we need to look at for a pantry. I think that'll work really good. But to answer your question.
Okay, and if I may, I know that I have given out food, and the food that was given out was only for Opa-Locka residents. I know that happened because I was there and I volunteered several times. So what make this different? Is it something that says we can't only serve our residents?
Well, because you're talking about for feeding South Florida?
Yeah, if we're paying for it. If we're paying for it, they're not giving it to us. We're paying for it.
Well, if we're paying for it, we can ask that question if we want to limit it to Opa-Locka residents. I was just trying to get it on the agenda for the commission to make a decision we want to go forward, because there's still a process even after doing this. It's got to go back to their office and what have you. But I definitely can, raise that question, that since we're going to pay for it, can we limit it to Opa-Locka residents?
Correct.
I don't have a problem doing that either.
And this is my last question. The other question or thought that I have is, I know that with oh my goodness, Feeding South Florida, they give us paper for them, but do they collect it or do we keep it?
Because Feeding South Florida is done on the tablet.
Before they went to the tablet, they wrote it in. So somewhere we have data as to how many Opa-Locka residents opposed to others that we served at Feeding South Florida.
Well, there's data from, I guess, Pride collecting. Now, I don't know what's on the numbers, but yeah, we used to write the name, the address and what have you on it, but then they discouraged us from doing that because, it wasn't ours personally, but then they came back and started doing the same thing basically. So it's kind of a catch-22. But if we can, we're paying for it and we want to limit it, I don't have a problem with that either. I will direct that to the city attorney, and we'll reach out to them, to their legal department or whatever, We can do that. I don't follow with that.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and close the discussion on this item because we've been around this mountain long enough and we have a ways to go. So Madam Clerk, let's go ahead and call the question and then we can move on to the next item.
Commissioner Bass,
No.
Vice Mayor Irvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes, as long as we have a detailed list of residents.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes,
Motion passes 4-1.
all right, as we move on to 13.3.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-Locka, Florida, directing the interim city manager to submit an improvement plan to the City Commission for both Siegel Park and Ingram Park. Further, directing a detailed report on the utilization of the allocated American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 ARPA funds for said parks no later than March 31st, 2024, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by Commissioner Kelly.
All right, can I get a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Kelly,
Second.
second by Commissioner Williams. Commissioner Kelly, this is your item. You can go ahead and.
Thank you. This item came about, and I mentioned it really over the last months of last year, what we were doing in terms of our ARPA funding, because I know it has a suspense date of 2024 at the end of the year. I had not heard any kind of plans or what we're going to do. And so I mentioned this a while back, and then still hadn't heard anything in terms of a document of a plan. I've heard a lot of things in the wind, heard a lot of things in the air, but nothing concrete. And I did not want us to get to the point of, like we do a lot of things in this city, last minute, and then we got to pass something. And so I brought it up a couple of times to no response. So I said, well, let me put in legislation and it'll get movement. And when, of course, when I mentioned it, things start moving. As all of us are aware, we got a whole lot of stuff happening at Siegel Park all of a sudden. But nothing was really happening after we put the gate up. And I might add, we put that gate up, even the one at Ingram Park, that was not even approved by the commission. So I said, let's find out what the plan is, or what's being recommended or thought of by management for the improvement for both Siegel and Ingram Park. Because I don't want us to get to the end of 2024 and not have a concrete plan of what we're going to do with ARPA dollars. We know that they were allocated as part of a process for Ingram and Siegel. And so I wanted to know, and want the commission to know, what plan is being what's out there to spend the dollars. I know there's some bigger picture and want to do major things, but for the funding that's allocated for the ARPA funds, we can make sure whatever we're going to use them for. Now, I'm quite sure there are some plans now, because as we know, when it's on the agenda, I'm quite sure been told about them, some things for Siegel Park. But I really hadn't heard a whole lot about Ingram Park. And again, we're only talking about, I think it's $250,000 or whatever the amount is. So I wanted to know, what is the plan to utilize those dollars to bring it before the commission so that we can vote on it? So we're not here in October or November having to come up with a plan on how we're going to spend those dollars. And I say that because, remember, there is a park master plan that the city invested money on that I still haven't seen, that have something to do with whatever plans we're going to do, or can at least complement it. So that is why the resolution is there, to direct the manager for a report on what we're going to do, or what is being proposed for those funds for Siegel Park and Ingram. And that's why the legislation is there. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, this item was also pulled.
Thank you, Mr.
Commissioner Williams, I'm sorry.
Through the mayor. And not to be later the time, but I think where I needed some clarity. It appears, and this is just to me, that there are two things being asked in this legislation. One, what are the plans, the improvement plan for Siegel and Ingram Park? under ARPA funds. And then it also, and this could be subjective on my part, seems as if it's asking for what have we done with the ARPA funds themselves? And I think I needed some clarity. Is this legislation only asking for what have we done with the ARPA funds for Siegel and Ingram Park? Or is this asking for Siegel and Ingram Park as well as all of the ARPA funds in itself?
Mr. Mayor?
Commissioner Kelly?
No, this is really just for Ingram and Siegel that relates to the ARPA funds, not for the rest of the city or any other allocations. This is strictly for the parks, for those two parks, for that amount of money that was allocated via the workshop. The community came out, they voted on 4 or 5 different things they wanted to see, and this was one of them. But I had not heard a plan as to what we were going to do with the $250,000. So that's why I put the legislation forward. But it has nothing to do with all the other ARPA funds and dollars. I just know that whatever we're going to do, from what I'm told by staff and the manager's office, it has to be encumbered by the end of this year. And let me be clear on that, Mr. Mayor. Can I get that clarity from the manager's office to be clear? Because that's what I was told. Mr. Mayor.
Oh, Mr. Manager?
Yes, through the mayor to Commissioner Kelly. Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so commit to my colleague, that's why it's here, because we got to encumber the money, not necessarily spend it per se, but it's got to be encumbered but for the end of this year. And we're already at March. So whatever the plan is, and again, I'm pretty sure some of the things that are happening or going to happen at Siegel are going to be utilizing some of those funds. No, let me not speculate. I believe it probably will be, but it may not be, but it might be utilized for some of the improvements at Siegel. But to my colleague, it has nothing to do with the other ARPA fund projects or whatever, just Siegel and Ingram.
And Commissioner Williams, I know you was gonna look way back in, but Commissioner Williams' question was the same question that I had. And the only thing that I'm going to request is that the report that is generated for the ARPA funds, I would like to see how the money is allocated for all.
Yes, that's what I'm.
And I also would like to see it adopted in legislation form, because we have not done that yet. And we were supposed to do that by the end of the year. And I've been screaming about ARPA for the last couple of years. So I would, I understand the Siegel and Ingram, and I appreciate you bringing this legislation, but I would like to see the complete utilization of ARPA funds, and not just for the parks, but complete utilization.
I
how
have
the
no,
monies are
I have no
allocated.
problem with that amendment or that item. I was just trying to make sure this was so.
And through the mayor, that's exactly where I was going
Yeah.
with it. You read because I do want to, and I want to separate church and state here. So, because that money was allocated for Siegel and Ingram, and then, asking, hey, what's the plan? No problem, because that we know 250,000 was allocated. But I do think that the voters voted. There was a workshop, the largest workshop that was ever attended by our residents. Maybe having in my mind, I'm thinking maybe next commission meeting or something, we can have something where we're sharing out to the voters. I'm gonna say PowerPoint, Prezi, I can go Canva, but something that our voters that attended the workshop, they know and they can see that money is being moved and how it's being used as well. And that's the whole all of the funds, as well as Siegel and Ingram. Thank you.
So that's my amendment to the item. And the only other thing, Commissioner Kelly asked for a plan. So the plan by, I guess, March 31st, but I think we need to put a date on the second part as well. And I would dare to say by the first commission meeting in April, that it comes back to the commission in legislation form, detailed, every dollar, every penny, so that we know where the money is going. And I will also further suggest, well, we have agenda briefings, so I'm gonna say that you sit with the commission, but we have agenda briefings. So that would be my amendment to this legislation? If the sponsor does not
No
mind.
problem, no problem.
Okay,
I'll second your motion on your amendment.
thank you. And Madam Attorney and Mr. Manager, you were understanding of what we're asking. Okay, all right, we're good?
Mhm.
All right, Madam Clerk, on the amendment,
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Bass.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly.
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
yes.
Motion passes on the amendment.
Okay, now we can call the question, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
Commissioner Bass.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin.
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes,
Motion passes 5-0.
all right, next item, 13-4.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-Locka, Florida, amending Resolution 23-125 to authorize the interim city manager to allocate funding of up to $2,000 per month in fiscal year 2023-2024 until September 30th, 2024, in order to continue the city's monthly bingo event and to cover expenditures from the city's Parks and Recreation Special Events budget, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by Mayor Taylor.
Can I get a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Williams,
Second.
second by Vice Mayor Irvin. This is my item and I don't mind introducing it. Simply put, I'm asking for money so that we can continue bingo. Me, Commissioner Kelly, and Vice Mayor Irvin usually take on the brunt of this event, and most of the time it comes out of our personal pockets. And
Say that part again.
most of the time it comes out of our, that's what I'm saying, out of our personal pockets. So, so I'm simply asking that for help to offset the cost for bingo. And this is another item that was pulled, so we can open up the floor for discussion and then we can move on.
Mr. Mayor, I pulled the item, and since I became the queen of pulls tonight, um,
You said it, not me. Go ahead, Commissioner Williams.
tonight. I pulled it only because, although I may not be at all bingos, but I would, love for this to be an event for all of us to sponsor. And the reason why I pulled it is, because the bingo grows and grows and grows and is one of our largest events or activities that our residents and others enjoy. I just was wondering, was 2,000 enough?
2,000 is actually enough.
Oh, okay, that's
It's
what
enough.
I was.
Because
Oh, so it was- I was,
I was about to
well,
say-
no, because I know that, like, certain months, I'm trying to see this fiscal year, does this include like holidays and?
No, it's actually enough. It's a good number.
Okay,
We
no,
actually
I just
said
want to,
no.
yeah, because
Vice Mayor don't try to buy 50-inch TVs and people's cars and be Oprah.
well, I
Winfrey.
think that's what people like, so that's why I'm asking, was that?
It's
But if you say it's enough, that when I saw the amount, I thought you all were kind of lowballing yourselves, but okay, no problem. I'll go with it.
That's the mayor.
Okay, he's being cheap.
Y'all know I'm cheap.
So I would like to, and only because I do know, that Vice Mayor does, and others, all of you all have done an amazing job with, the bingo, and everyone talks about it. I would like to raise it to 3,000, only because I do think that it is, especially when we feed when we do real food.
So you don't like when I order pizza? That's
Not,
not-
I mean,
Mr. Mayor.
Jalen likes it, but not so much.
Is that what you're saying? Because I'm offended.
So I'm just proffering to increase it to 3,000. And then just, include, and just the whole commission involved. That's it.
Vice Mayor told me to say, I accept your friendly amendment.
Mr. Mayor, I have a problem with the increase. We won't see no more pizza no more. That'd be good, but, I would hope with if it goes to 3,000, that's approved, the sound, microphone. We need to have a microphone system, because this is one of our biggest, and one of the reasons it's grown, but trying to hear numbers and all of that. So we're going to really do it. We need one like manager got that. So it's nice and loud. So everything stop here. Bingo. If you can find within it, probably just the first month. What do you call it? I know the vice mayor had bought
The
one
amplifier
for
system,
herself,
speaker system.
but we need one for the building for bingo, since we know we're gonna be doing it.
Okay.
And if possible, a little mic or something that the folks, giving out the numbers around, because, that could be a challenge when Commissioner Williams calling them number, they don't hear them.
I know they hear.
Oh,
I
yes.
know they hear.
So I would, support whatever number you're going up, but that could be included,
Well,
at least initially.
the agenda is open-ended, so I'll get with, if it passes, then I'll get with the manager and see what we can order to make sure that everything that was discussed up here is passed. I mean, it's purchased.
Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Bass?
Okay, I know I'm sticking out like a sore thumb tonight, but that's okay with me. I got an issue with it. And my issue simply is going back to the other resolution as it relates to the food. Don't get me wrong, I love bingo. I go to bingo. I actually got kitchen towels from bingo because I won. But we are still using, or we will be using taxpayers' dollars to have bingo, where we know that at least 40 to 50% of those persons that attend bingo, they are not from the city of Opa-Locka. I will support it if there's a way that we can develop where, show me your ID. Do you live in Opa-Locka? Come in. If you don't live in Opa-Locka, if you still want to come in, hey, you got a service fee, $10, whatever. Because I am not going to sit here and agree for us to have an open bingo with taxpayers' dollars. And again, I'm not against bingo. I love going to bingo. I love the food. I love the company. But again, it's the dollars and how we are spending our taxpayers' dollars. That's it.
Okay. Well, Commissioner Bass, I hear you. And if data is what you want to collect, then we can start doing that. But again, we have a lot of events in the city of Opa-Locka, and we don't know who's coming. A lot of people patronize the city of Opa-Locka events. Why? Because they say they're fun. Like some of us patronize other people's events because we say that they're fun and interesting. But if data is what you want, because we can't prove that over 40 to 50% of the people that are there, if data has never been collected. That's not Opa-Locka. So that's not a fair judgment. But again, going forward, we can collect data, but I'm sorry, the whole show me your ID, I don't agree with.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Bass?
I'm okay with you feeling that way because we're
Mhm.
all entitled to our feelings. But again, I will not support it for the mere fact that, we all talking about, we spend money on everything else, and I got that. But purposely knowing that you are doing something is different from doing it and not really knowing. We would know that we are spending the money knowing that a number of these people are not from Opa-Locka. That's all I'm saying. If we're having something in the park and residents from elsewhere come, that's the park. It's open.
That's what bingo is, a park, and
It's indoors, and we allow them to come indoors, and we give them, well, not yet, but if this passes, we will be giving to them items that are purchased by our taxpaying dollars. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Bass, and I understand your sentiments on that issue. Again, we've been around this mountain too long, so let's go ahead and call the question.
Before you
and-
call a question,
Go ahead.
I just want, are we all going to be a part of bingo now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
I don't want to be
and-
treated like, who in our sister state.
I don't operate like that, man.
Oh.
That's not me. So,
Oh.
and I will publicly say it. So, Madam Clerk, the bingo flyer, remove all pictures or add all pictures. So either one, you can take all the pictures off or you can add it. So it's up to you.
Mr. Mayor, I was just,
What happened?
I was just trying to say, and I 100% agree and understand. I'm wondering and I don't know if this is a offline conversation. I do know that maybe if we do collect the data at bingo, maybe the big ticket items are raffled. I don't know. Big ticket items are raffled for the residents only, and then the smaller items are open whatever you call it.
No, I think that's a fair compromise, and I actually like that idea. So we'll do that.
With
me
the
and
what,
Maya
Bruce?
will set rules and parameters. She's saying like the raffles, in order for you to receive the raffle, you have to be a part of a resident of a city of Opa-Locka. So the big ticket item, the TV there. So we'll go with that.
Well,
I'm,
Yeah, because somebody say
let me just say this.
yeah,
Let me
okay.
just say this.
I'm picking this up. For this
I'm-
let's go.
I understand, and all of us entitled, and it's taxpayer dollars, and we need to be stewards of taxpayer dollars. And I could stay here for an hour talking about steward of taxpayer dollars that we're messing up, and it's our dollars. But I'm not gonna go that route right now. I'm trying to figure out, because we have people that live in the city, bring family members who are not necessarily residents, but they come with them. So are we saying now at this point in the raffle, the resident can get it, but the other one can't, so we got a special ticket for the resident? Is that the intent?
That was Commissioner.
I was trying to meet in the middle. I don't,
But
no, I mean, we can continue. I was just trying to,
she was
So I
trying
don't have
to
a problem with collecting data. I mean, as you all pointed out, probably accurate. I don't know if it's 40%, but there is a percentage that attend a lot of our events, activities that are not city residents. I just don't know if we want to,
go there.
you know, but collect the data. I would probably would go. I think right now bingo is very popular.
Mhm.
It gives us a lot of positive press, a lot of goodwill from the community in and out. So, you know, I don't know if you want to just diminish that,
okay.
but collecting the data and then come back at the end of the year to see, I guess you could do that.
Mr.
Thank you,
Mayor,
Ms. Mayor. I'm good either way.
if I may say, I also get donations. Like right now, I think at parks, I have like 750-inch televisions. That's for bingo, that's waiting for us to get back
I can
into
return
bingo.
the TV that I got since you got
That's up
donation.
to you. I got mine
Yeah.
donated. And
Mike, you heard that. Return the TV.
and I would like for those to be for whoever shows up.
Okay.
Okay.
Call
All
the
right,
question.
we can go ahead and call the question.
Mr. Mayor,
Mhm.
two things. In terms of the flyer, can you direct me in terms of pictures and no pictures?
We'll do that offline.
Okay, because I don't want to make that determination
No, but that's what I said.
myself.
We'll do it offline.
Okay, and then secondly, I have a motion to amend to increase to $3,000 by Commissioner Williams. I don't have a second on that. Are we still moving forward with that amendment?
We approved that amendment.
No,
We
you did
didn't?
not.
Okay, let's redo the whole process over. So Commissioner Williams made a motion to approve the increase to 3,000,
And now,
and it's gonna be seconded, you said
second.
second by Vice Mayor. So let's vote on the amendment. and then we'll-
Vice Mayor Irvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
I was trying to catch the question. You were so fast. That's inclusive getting the sound system, although that's a one-time thing.
No, but the resolution is open-ended, so we'll just order it.
Okay. Yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
Commissioner Bass.
No.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes,
Motion on the amendment passes 4-1.
and then the question.
Commissioner Bass,
No.
Vice Mayor Irvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Taylor,
Yes,
motion passes 4-1.
all right, moving on, we're going to item 13.9.
Is it item 13.6?
Oh,
Mr.
yeah,
Mayor?
okay. 13.6.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-Locka, Florida, directing the interim city manager to review the water sanitary sewage and stormwater billing agreement with Miami-Dade County related to water and sewer meter readings, billing and collection services, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by Commissioner Kelly.
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Kelly,
Second.
second by Commissioner Williams. Commissioner Kelly, go ahead and introduce your item.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. This item is before the commission because in order to get information to make sure it comes to us, or I'll say, you know, that I feel is necessary and needed, I want to do it through legislation. One of the things I constantly hear is the weekly or Friday call with the state oversight where we're updating them and they're okay with this and okay with that. I've also been told that, you know, elected officials can sit in on the call, fit up on the Friday. I did get one finally the other week from the manager's office asking if I want to sit in, but I could not sit in on that one. But what I'm concerned about is being privy to having information to know what is going on, because all of us can't sit on those Friday calls. And I'm concerned when I hear about the state is okay with this or the state is not okay with that, or they got a problem with that, but we never get specifics on those particular causes of what the concern is. And the latest, of course, was the one that has happened here recently, where the state had no problems with our budget issues, even though we had to come back and pass it because they had been notified in advance on one of the calls. But yet the commission hadn't been notified. And I brought it up before. So I said, in order to be able to really know what's going on these calls, whatever they may be, that the commission would receive a report, however short, however long, from the manager's office, the Tuesday following, just to say, here's what was discussed, here's the challenges, here's the okay, here's what's going on, so that we wouldn't know what's going on with those calls. This legislation is just for asking for a recap of that weekly meeting, because I don't like getting sometimes, well, the state is okay, we talked to them and they're okay. We met with them in our Friday briefing and they're okay, or they don't have a problem, or they do have a problem. We heard that before in the past. So I said, rather than trying to just ask the manager myself, I bring it before the commission, because maybe others may have concerns or want to know what's going on with those calls,
Commissioner Kelly,
what's taking place. So
that item passed. The item that we're referring to is number 6, the water bill. The water
I'm sorry.
water billing agreement.
I'm gonna blame the clerk for that because they notated my thing wrong. I'm so sorry. I apologize. And y'all let me go. I was coughing. I ain't saying nothing.
But go ahead.
That means I was saying, nobody said nothing. Even the manager smiling. Y'all ain't saying nothing? Okay. Well, let me make this brief. This item is going back even to last year. Want to know about what's happening with the water bills. I was getting to meet me Monday. And of course, you had residents that have come up talking about getting 2 bills. I've had business owners saying that they've gotten bills that they felt were not correct. And when they, told they got to pay them. And so what I wanted to do, and I mentioned before, was to have the manager's office look at all of the MOUs related to the water collection, all of those things dealing with the meters, and including even with code compliance, because as we know, the county gets the money from residential collections. We don't. They control even the transfer station. We had, shut that down and went out. I think now we did get that back on track. So this legislation is requesting the ICM to look at all of those agreements and come back to the commission with any recommendations, suggestions, whether we need to tweak this or we're okay with that, or it's good for now, but we need to be on the lookout for when they do expire. Because I still have some concerns about those complaints of folks getting water bills or utility bills. Some of them getting 2 right back to back, and even the process of communication. I think the manager, I said at one point, I think he said he reached out to him and was trying to get some kind of clarity, because we don't really control water bills anymore. It's a county function, but when folks go down to talk, they can't really get answers down there. And in their mind, it's still a water issue for the city. So that's why the resolution before us asking the ICM to review all of those agreements. The one I have a real challenge, of course, is the code compliance, in terms of we don't get to collect any money off of it, but it's an eyesore. And sometimes those piles stay out there for 14 days, an eyesore. And the county gets that money, we get none of that revenue. So that's why the legislation is before you to review all those. All right. Thank you.
All right, this item was also pulled. So any questions for the sponsor on this item?
I pulled the item because
Vice Mayor?
in my briefing, I remembered the manager's office working on something that was before you got there. And I asked City Manager Shameka Lawson, were they already working on that? And she told me that indeed they were already working on this. So I was just wondering why the resolution.
Well, I'm gonna tell you like this, Madam Vice Mayor. there are a lot of things we working on, but I never get the answers to. This is not a new issue. This issue, you've been at Meet Me Mondays, we're supposed to talk about water bills and duplication, and I bring it to management's attention, and I hear they're working on it, but I never hear anything. But here lately, over the last couple of months, I've had a lot more residents complaining, wanting to know, and again, we don't really control the process. So what I want to know, if we're working on it, where are we in the working on process? Is this something that the commission needs to get more involved? Because if they've been working on it, you said you met with Axel how long ago?
Just at my briefing on
Oh,
Monday.
Okay, and how long have they been working on it? How long did they been working on it?
Oh, I didn't
Oh.
ask the question.
Yeah, I've heard they've been working on it, but how long we gonna work on it? Because it's ongoing and it's been going on really since last year. So I said, let's look at all the agreements because, you know, we were in a tight, we understand we were in a position we had to go to the county and do these agreements. But now that things, you know, we got a little better, I just want to review them to see. And again, the biggest one I always have the challenge is the code compliance and the transfer station. Now, no, let me ask this, since you brought that up, Vice Mayor. Since part of your working on it, is part of working on it dealt with the transfer station too?
Absolutely. Through the mayor to Commissioner Kelly, we have been in active negotiations on this issue for several months. We began the negotiate. I'm in charge of the negotiation for code and transfer station. The director of finance, Naima Walker, she's negotiating the water billing and utility billing issues. And we're supported and advised by both Mr. Anathan and also for budget administration, and also Mr. Ari Austin for public works. For the transfer station, we've had multiple negotiations on it. Our negotiations hit a standstill when they were refusing to allow the city of Opa-Locka to move forward with our own transfer station. They went back to the mayor's office, and now we are still negotiating. The position that we left them with was, you know, all your transfer stations that you're offering the city under this contract are outside the city limits. Their concern is one, competition from another outside source. If we open up our transfer station, will we farm that work out and they have a competitor, or will we be collecting some type of fees by how we dispose of it? And what we clearly stated to them in that negotiation is that, you know, we're not looking for this to be a profit center for the city of Opa-Locka. We're looking to provide the residents of the city of Opa-Locka an opportunity to dispose of their waste inside their city limits. That contract does not have a transfer station within the city limits. Now, if they want to, now they're looking at if they can offer to the city of Opa-Locka the opportunity to, we set up that transfer station and then they will man it as part of that agreement. That was the last conversation that we had approximately 2 weeks ago. We're supposed to have a follow-up meeting next Wednesday to see what their response is to that. And Miss Gant, I'm sorry, I was about to say Mrs. Walker. Miss Gant can provide a response on the update on the water billing negotiation.
Well, Mr. Mayor, thank you, Mr. Manager. It goes to the point you make. You request, you ask, but now everything the manager said, I'm glad we're doing it, but I've been asking about that since last year. And the residents have come before us. The only thing they've gotten is, we're working on it. They need to know we are working and where we are and whatever the process. And I want to know where we are in these processes, just like I'm sure my colleagues do. So that's why the resolution is there, you know, to see if we're at a standstill. Does the commission need to get involved or do something? Does it look like we're making progress? Because again, when the residents come before us and are asking with these concerns about water bills and whatever, we need to have an answer. So what is the answer from the county on these concerns? We can't just keep saying, you know, it ain't the city, it's the county. We need to have answers for our residents. Just like the part you said, you got someone dealing with the cold side of not getting the money, which has always been a big one for me because it impacts. We got to pick up all the legal stuff and pay the tipping fees, but then we don't get any collection. So I want to know where that is, because those are big items that I think the commission needs to be aware of. So that's why the item was on the agenda. So if they're working on it, you know, I just would say whatever date, just need to have a date or that the manager's office or whoever is going to be able to come back and provide us with that information in some kind of documented form, I don't have a problem. I can pull the resolution as long as we're gonna get a date when we'll get it.
Okay, any other questions to the sponsor on this item? All right, Madam Clerk.
I'm sorry. I thought I heard Commissioner Kelly said that he would pull it if he gets a date from the manager when he would receive this info. Am I correct, Commissioner Kelly? Through the
Yeah, I
mayor?
said I'll put some date, but I didn't get a date, so.
Mr. Mayor?
I wasn't putting a time certain because they're in negotiations in 3 different areas. I just want to make sure it comes back to the commission. I wasn't trying to say it needs to be done by a certain date because as he indicated, they got 3 different parts going on. The reason I got the legislation is the same one I've been hearing for a while, going back to last year, and the same one that the vice mayor raised. Where are we, what we're doing? So now that we're doing it, I don't have a date certain, just pass the resolution, and whenever the manager's office finishes their review, they'll bring it to the commission. I'm not trying to tie their hands with it.
Mr. Mayor?
Sorry, Mr. Manager.
Thank you. And to Commissioner Kelly and the commission, if it be the will of the commission, since these are active negotiations, administration would be more than willing to provide monthly update on all of the MOU negotiations at the in the city manager's report, if it be the will of the commission.
Well, I'm fine with that.
All right.
I'll take the resolution on. I'll withdraw it.
So
Mr.
this
Mayor.
item has been
Monthly updates.
this item has been withdrawn. All right, so we're going to 13.9.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-Locka, Florida, authorizing the city manager to piggyback the City of Miami contract with H&R Paving and Inc. for qualified professional services for pavement resurfacing. City of Miami IFB number 111538228, and enter into an agreement with H&R Paving Inc. for the Siegel Park parking lot improvement project in an amount not to exceed $63,508.60, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by the interim city manager.
All right, can I get a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Williams,
Second.
second by Vice Mayor. Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is an item that is coming from our capital improvement projects. This is one of the items that has been funded by our ARPA funds, which we are vigorously looking to encumber by all of those by the end of this year. This was a project that was selected by the residents for the city to move forward on. It was actually a 2-part component. The first component was passed at the last commission meeting, which included the repair of the trails at Siegel Park, and now we're looking as promised to expand the parking lot to add additional spaces there. And we have the manager for capital improvement projects, Ms. Adelina Gross, and myself available to answer any additional questions that the commission may have.
Okay, this item was pulled.
Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Kelly?
Thank you. As I said in the briefing, and I'm going to reiterate again, it's coming from ARPA funds. Out of the 250 allocation, so at least that part I'm sure of. The question I have is really twofold. We passed at the last meeting, well, the commission passed the last meeting for the new trails because they're cracking, et cetera, to do that. And the initial design of that was, I guess, given for the new concrete trails. We got a revised one now because we're adding, in this legislation, we're adding 8 parking spaces to the trail, and we kind of reconfigured it a little bit. My question still goes to the same one I asked in the briefing, and I'm challenged by those 8 spots are not going to take up for those 20 that's lost across the street. Because when this item came up before to vote and the commission decided to swap whatever you do with the land, one of the things I raised was where are folks going to park that rent Siegel Park and or Helen Miller Center, because they use that parking lot. We're going to create the spots cross, inside of our structure. So what I'm told is we have 26 spots in there without, and we all know that go over there, those dumpsters over there in the corner. So you don't really have that total. But what concerns me even more with the 8 additional spots is that still not going to offset the number that you're losing across the street for parking. So the question begs, where are those folks going to park when you're renting the building, when you're renting for the park? We're going to have Easter egg hunt over there in a few weeks. And I hope it's, going to be packed over at the park because, we would have that Seagull like we've done in the past. We have to use some time the parking lot for vending, but we're having an Ingram, so that's not an issue. But what are we going to do to offset 20, and I'm using 20, those 8 spots for parking? The second challenge that I really had that I brought up in the briefing, and I thought I would have got a response before now, was the drainage. The drainage. So I know I got an answer for that because Ms. Gross is smiling, but I asked for that in my briefing. I didn't get an answer as to what about the drainage challenge that's over there at the park. So I'm going to get that answer now, I'm assuming, Mr. Mayor.
So let me, through the mayor to Commissioner Kelly or to the commission, let me first, thank you, sir. So let me first state, we work very, very hard to get you your responses. It's very difficult sometimes when your briefing is always scheduled the day before commission meeting. So that gives us less than 24 hours to get responses from you, get responses to you. But we work diligently to get those. For the parking spaces, we did a study on the lot. I'd like for Ms. Gross to first answer to address your first question with regard to the placement of the parking, the new parking spaces, and how many spots estimated by our engineer were lost, if you have that information readily available.
Ms.
Sorry.
Gross?
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Mr. Manager, I will get back to you. I do not recall those numbers and I don't have them readily available right now, but I will send the report to you for those numbers tomorrow morning so you can share it with the commission.
Fantastic. So I know that our Carlos did do a review of how many spots were at the previous lot, and we look to replace them in their entirety. We'll provide that information to the commission as soon as it's readily available.
Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Kelly?
My briefing is when my briefing is, and even if you don't have the information, just say, it's tough to get it all, but we're working on it and we hope to have it at the meeting or whatever, but not to get it all. I don't appreciate that. The second thing is, even when y'all come out with this study, I am challenged to see how, and everybody's had functions of been to Seagull Park. You can get a whole bunch of cars in that lot across the street. Way more than 8 that we're proposing in this new configuration. I appreciate the 8, but I raised that question because again, we're supposed to also put some parking on the east side of the fence and the open lot. And I said that then because when you're doing this, we rent out that park. Park is very popular and there are a lot of folks, not just park activities, wakes, memorials. What are we going to do about it? But again, the second part of that, the drainage. And I know you mentioned to me wasn't really aware about the drainage problem, but there's a major drainage challenge over there. So if we're doing all these improvements with the trail, we're going to repave it, we're going to resurface it, and then we're going to do the parking things. The drainage is still a challenge. We're going to have the same challenge, in my opinion, that you've had in a lot of our streets where we repaved them, resurfaced them. They look good on the top. Give about 8 months and they're going to start. To me, that's, as my colleague said earlier, we want to expend tax dollars wisely. So what are we going to do to try to mitigate the drainage challenge?
So I'm gonna answer both of your questions. During the project, we are going to be trying to minimize the impact for the rentals. So I have already asked Ms. Ray, the Director of Parks, to provide us with a schedule. So we minimize the impact on rentals and how the project is going to be affecting those areas, and we can mobilize according to the rentals and giving enough space, not utilizing the parking space or not closing certain areas during the project. That's,
Well, that's for the, Mr. Mayor, to the manager, that's for the construction when you start working.
yes,
But I'm talking about the actual drainage concerns
No.
themselves. How are we going to address the drainage?
that was my second part.
Okay.
And the drainage, we are addressing that right now with the Public Works Department. There is drainage that is already installed on the Helen Miller side. There is no drainage existing on the actual Seagull Park side. So we are already working on that with the Public Works Department, as well as my department to bring forward to the commission an additional project so we can address those concerns as soon as possible.
But you hear my concern. I raised the briefing, so there's nothing to do.
Yes,
We're doing all this paving. We're going to be doing all of this new stuff, which is good. But the drainage for Seagull should have been like the first thing on our mind if we're going to upgrade anything, because it's a ongoing long-term issue. So we're going like me going backwards in the process. And again, you're working with Public Works and I know what you're talking about, but even the drainage on the Helen Miller side
Mhm.
is not the greatest, because that used to be the racquetball court. And I can tell you, although they filled it, it still has some
Right.
challenge on that side. And that's why I'm raising that question. So I look forward to whatever you're going to bring forward to the commission and how you're going to try to mitigate it. And you're still going to need some more parking, even though you're going to coordinate with for the construction of when you're doing this project. I'm talking about even when you get it finished. You got 8 more spots. Sometimes you may have 100 people over there, depending on what the event is. Where are they going to park?
yes.
Where are they going to park? Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
No problem. Any other questions for the manager or
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Williams?
quick question, Ms. Gross, how are you?
Okay, thank you.
I do have one question, just to lack of a better word, piggyback behind Commissioner Kelly. When we resurface a pavement and there's a uptick of water or flooding, does that water then go back and crack the pavement? Does that water build up now? Like, are we now putting a Band-Aid on a problem? Or that, I think that's where I'm
It
challenged.
depends how the project is. We can create a slope that can reduce the flooding. We also can elevate the pavement or the area, so there is a reduction on the flooding as well. However, the first project that we are going to be approaching is not the surface of the pavement. It's actually the trails. For us right now, that's a safety issue. And since we are approaching the trails first, the second part of the project is basically the milling and resurfacing and addition of the parking spaces. So we will be bringing to commission a solution for drainage and mitigation of flooding before we can start the project.
Well, so, but is there flooding on the trails?
There is no flooding on the trails right now. However, there is a lot of cracking. There are
no, I know,
uplifts
I've seen it.
so there is
Yeah.
not a lot of there is some areas of the trails that they do flood and they do get water accumulated due to the existing problem of drainage that Commissioner Kelly was mentioning. But yes, we are going to be addressing that as well, because the pattern of the trails is also going to be modified
Okay.
as part of this
So
project.
will the plan be part of the project, which is mitigating the drainage and everything? Do you now have to break up the trails and now in order to do that Plan B project, or that can happen
That can happen seamlessly.
without, okay, I just don't want to, like, we're starting a project and now we have to, because that tends to happen, unfortunately, especially on our roads. We Band-Aid it and then we look up and it's cracked and all these things are happening because of flooding. And we're just constantly going back to Band-Aid. So I'm just wanting to make sure that we're not gonna pass something that I'm going to see in 6 months come back because now it's
Yes.
a problem. Okay. Thank you.
All right. If there are no more questions for the manager or Ms. Gross, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Bass.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Mayor Taylor?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right, last item on consent. No, I'm sorry, two more items on consent. What is this? 13?
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-Locka, Florida, authorizing the interim city manager to approve a change order request for Diamante Construction and Development, Inc. for the Police Department, security access, surveillance, and network infrastructure for the new police station within City Hall in an amount not to exceed $99,990, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by the interim city manager.
All right, can I get a motion? Moved by Commissioner Bass, second by Vice Mayor. Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So very excited about this particular item because after this passes, City of Opa-Locka will be one of the few city halls in Miami-Dade County that now has a hardened space, like many of the county spaces, so that we will be able to determine and check and make sure that security is maintained in our building, and that we can also provide boosted services for our police department. This is an item coming from our IT department, and I have myself and also our director of IT, Mr. Phil Walker, here to answer questions that the commission may have.
All right, do we have any questions to the manager for this item?
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner
I
Kelly?
raised questions at the briefing. I'm sure I get the same response. I didn't have a chance to get them all answered. So I don't know if you're coming to answer them or they're going to be answered later. Yeah, I'll just wait to the manager.
You have a question or?
I raised questions to the brief guy. He came up, so I thought he was coming to address the
Good night,
the
everyone.
manager.
Okay, so Commissioner, your question was about the lobby area and the safety of the civilian sitting inside the lobby. From my conversation with the chief, the lobby area is a public area and it has to stay open. They have to have access to that. I can.
Okay, I just raised the question. You said you wasn't sure. There has to be open area. So the bullet, whatever you call it, the thing that we have down there now.
Okay, the metal detector.
Right.
Okay, there will be an enclosure where there will be someone sitting there monitoring the metal detector. So when someone passes through it, they will check and see if they're clear to go on beyond. So the metal detector will move forward a little bit. It won't be all the way down there where it is right now. The chief
So
would tell
it's
you
going to move forward.
a little bit from where it is right now.
Well, when I came in, it was like further up. So
Right.
you're saying move forward where? Back?
To the door, to the entrance, closer to the entrance.
So it's designed to catch anyone coming in even before you go anywhere?
Before you get into the city side, yes, sir.
Okay, and the police door is like really right there at that entrance. So I'm trying to just picture in mind how that's going to work. And again, I raised these questions when I first saw the design, and I'm asking again because I understand going to police department and they're all insulated except for the lobby area. You got to be buzzed, and I got that part. Cameras, I got that. But I'm challenged with the metal detector, how that's going to really be impactful when it's way up. You're already in the building. So now you're telling me it's going to be pushed back further closer to the entrance door.
Yes, sir. Chief, you could.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. So the intent is for residents entering the ingress portion of the building to first pass through the metal detectors. The second entry will be secured, will be locked. Once they pass through and they're proven to be not carrying anything or nothing of a danger, then the door will be buzzed and they'll have access into the city, into the building. Currently, there's no security measures. They can walk right up to the security desk and have even, in some occasions, walked right past onto the elevator and made their way up into the building. So this provides a secondary security point prior to entering into the building and accessing the elevator area.
So is there going to be a divider there? Because I'm trying to just picture. I got what a door is. I come in the building. Okay. I come in the building, the metal detector, he just indicated is closer towards the entrance. So now I'm going to go through that and then make what, a U-turn to come back to the building? Because I don't see enough space to put the metal detector, open the door and come to the police.
There's enough space, Commissioner. We checked it out with the contractor. It was there for the grand opening of the police station, of the police headquarters. It was there as a show how the process was going to work. So there's definitely enough space from the metal detector to where the double doors, and it'll only be one door that'll be opening. It'll be the right-hand door that will be accessing, while the secondary door will be closed. So once that's accessed, they'll enter the building, that door will close and lock.
So he just indicated somebody he indicated somebody's going to buzz you in.
Correct.
Buzz me in where? To get into the actual police station?
Oh, you're speaking of the police station.
Well,
I'm sorry.
I'm trying to figure out how this is all going to work because these,
Through the mayor to Commissioner Kelly. I think I understand his perspective. You're answering about hardening the building. I believe his concerns are about the entrance to the police department and the entrance to the cashier's desk, which are immediately to your left and right.
I'm not talking about inside. I saw that once you get inside there, you got to be buzzed in. I'm saying I come in the building, or the parent brings their kids in the building, or the citizen comes in to see one of us.
Yes, sir.
They come through the door, which you say the right, because that's normally the only one open. They come through there. Where the metal detector sits, even if you bring it up as he's indicated, to me is right on the door of the police department. Now you're saying it's a little room to get through there, and I'm trying to picture my mind.
I think,
and then I'm hearing buzzing in, so I'm hearing all these different.
if I could
sir.
respond, I understand where the disconnect is. They're discussing hardening the building, and you're discussing the space to the left, which is the police station, right, and the cashier's right, correct?
Well, I don't know who's going to be out there. I was told security or somebody would be there. I don't know who's going to be there. I would assume it's not police. It's going to be our security we got now, but
Yes,
I don't
sir.
know.
So we will have a security there for the hardened space for the building. You will be able to enter the building and go to your left, which will be a room where you can engage the police department behind a secure bulletproof glass. And you can do the same thing if you were, those are considered what we are considered retail spaces. So we don't harden retail spaces you don't have a metal detector to go into 7-Eleven, but the person working at the 7-Eleven might be working with you behind a bulletproof glass. And so that's how our setup is downstairs. Now, I hope that bridges the gap.
Okay. And again, the other point I made, this is a budget amendment item. So this was a change after you'd already originally did whatever we were doing in terms of our security, knowing you're going to be there. I guess that's more of an IT question than a police question. And again, I raised these questions at the briefing, so they're not new. I know you weren't there, but. So the intent is, if I'm hearing correct, Mr. Manager and IT, you come in the building, you can't get to the left, you're going to go through the metal detectors, and I'm still trying to picture, as the manager saying, coming around a little bit to go in there. I'm not talking about once you get in there. I know that's hard and to go through the door. I'm just, because I see kids coming, their parents, people coming there all the time. I'm just wondering that traffic of just coming in there, that something doesn't slip through the cracks. So maybe the cameras are going to catch it. Maybe that security person that's going to be closer. That's going to be their responsibility. I'm just trying to figure it out because we're spending a lot of money to make sure it works. I want to make sure it does work. Most cities, you can't get anywhere until you go through the metal detectors. You can't even get to, in our case, because our entrance for the police department is so close, that gives me a great concern, especially with the way folks are acting now. It's just.
I totally understand that. And I felt the same way. We actually went there yesterday, both me and the chief, and looked at it again, and it will work.
Okay, I'm glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
No problem. Mr. Manager, And well, you all pulled the item, so I'm kind of glad you did, because the issue that I had, not issue, but the concern that I had is are all the access points secure?
We'll have all the access points secured.
Okay, that's because I understand we're hardening the front, but we also have to take into consideration that we have access points that
They will all be
align
secure.
the back.
We
and the-
won't go
okay,
into detail publicly. but-
got it. I got it. I understood. All right, we're good on that. All right, any other questions to the
Mr.
manager?
Mayor, I just want to put on the record that we're going to, you don't see it here as a part of the backup. We're going to add, legal is going to add the amendment to be consistent with how amendments are supposed to be done for this contract. So this will be, you don't see it as a part of your backup, but it will be, we will add an amendment to this. It's not really a the way that you have it, it's not really a change order so much. The contract requires an amendment, so we'll be adding that to this item.
Okay. All right. Any other concerns or questions on this item? All right, Madam Clerk. So before we vote, Madam Clerk, Madam Attorney, so what are we voting on tonight? This, you said, 'cause this is not a change order, it's actually amendment to the contract.
Right. It can say change order, so the way that's titled is fine, but it does require Article 9, which changes the scope of work, requires that you state specific things like the description, the estimated cost, these are things that we can pull out of but we're just going to put it in a more formalized way than what you see. You see a lot of the strike throughs that was done by our office because we were redacting things consistent with Florida statutes, allows you to, if it's security issues and things like that, it allows you to strike through those things so that they're not public records. So that's why you see all of the strike throughs. But I'm saying, I didn't want you to think it was going to just look like that, right? We're going to have a little bit more meat on it, and it's going to be a little bit more information that will look more like the what's supposed to be, what it's supposed to look like for a contract amendment.
Okay, so then I'm a little torn to support this, because if we're not voting on what we see here today, then I would rather this is pulled or tabled to a date certain, and then you all update it and then bring it back the way it's supposed to look. But as it stands today, because what we're thinking is we're
Well-
voting on, it's not what we're voting on.
Well, you are voting on it, and you all allow in many cases where this, it will be done in a form to be approved by the city attorney. I mean, that's essentially what I just wanted to bring to your attention. It's not just like you're gonna have blank things here. Once we do the contract with them, it will be, in a more detailed format to comport with contract amendments. So it's not changing anything. It's still fine to go forward, but I didn't want you to think it's going to look like
Well,
this.
you are
once
the
it's-
attorney,
Once
and
it's
if something
executed.
goes wrong, you have to defend us.
You're
So
absolutely
I
right.
will lean on you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
So we can go ahead and call the
I'm
question.
sorry, Mr. Mayor, just so I'm clear, to the attorney, you're saying basically that some of this is being redacted because of public whatever, but however, once it's done, it's basically gonna be what?
It's going to have the detail once you sign it with the contractor. It's just not, it's not available to the public because there are certain things and places that you're going to put things in, and you don't want the public to be aware of. They're going to put cameras in a certain room or, whatever, so there are things that we can legitimately redact under Florida statutes, but I want you to know that it's going to be more in a form that once it's executed, that will be consistent with how the contract is supposed to be amended. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Attorney. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Bass?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner Williams?
Yes.
Mayor Taylor?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right, so we're moving on. We don't have any planning and zoning items. We're going into 16A1.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Williams?
I think I pulled
15.
15. You want me to go ahead and read it, Mr. Mayor?
Oh, yes, ma'am. I thought we were done with
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-Locka, Florida, authorizing the interim city manager to execute the consent agreement addendum attached hereto to correct the issue of an open sewer permit and further clarify the timeliness requirement to rectify deficiencies in pump station basins number 5 and number 7 within the city, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by the interim city manager.
All right, can I get a motion on this item?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Baz,
Second.
second by Vice Mayor Irvin. Mr. Manager, this is your item. Go ahead and introduce it, please.
Yes, sir. This is an item coming from our Public Works Department. It is very public worksy, so I'm going to have Mr. Aria Austin available to answer any questions the commission may have.
All right. Any questions for the manager or Mr. Austin on this item? This was pulled. Commissioner Williams, you.
Well, before the King of Zamunda comes and speaks, look very nice today, very
Thank you.
nice. Very nice. I just need the limo with the flags in the front. I can keep going, like, it's so much I could go.
Ask your
But,
question.
okay, it was really quick. It was a quick question. I have nothing, no questions about pump stations and basins and et cetera. It was just about the consent agreement. I know, because we failed to add something in the consent agreement, does that mean that moving forward, we will add the long-standing open permit, or was this just isolated for this agreement?
For this agreement and this addendum, the county neglected to add a permit that was opened back in 2011 for some sewer work done on Port Said Road. They're allowing us 90 days to close that permit with all the required paperwork. In addition to that, since they were bringing that back for an addendum item, we provided them with dates certain for pump station number 5 and pump station number 7 to close that open item out.
Okay, it was, and it was really just about the consent agreement. I had a question there.
Correct.
Thank you so much.
Okay, any other questions for Mr. Austin or Mr. Manager? All right, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Irvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
Commissioner Bath.
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right. Okay, now we're moving on to our ordinances, 16A1. First reading. Madam Attorney.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Opa-Locka, Florida, amending Article 2, Division 2, Section 2-45 of the City of Opa-Locka's Code of Ordinances to add the placement of future agenda items to the City Commission agenda, requiring a majority vote for placement of said items, providing for severability, providing for conflict and repealer, and providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by Commissioner Williams.
All right. Can I get a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Williams,
Second.
second by Vice Mayor. This is a public hearing item. Public hearing is open. Public hearing is closed. Commissioner Williams? you may
Yes.
introduce your item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I wanted to, when I started on the commission, I came into the commission with the future agenda items already placed and didn't have the other lens of what we do now. And because of that lens of our process now, I believe it is in our best interest to return back to future agenda items. And I'm gonna just lay out a few things. So one of the things, if you noticed what we did with several items tonight, to be exact, is we flushed out, deleted, deferred, and made amendments to each other's items. And I know with future agenda items, we will save time because all those things will be flushed out and amended and everything based off of the commission's thought process before the item comes to commission. So we don't spend, and of course, now that I have both lenses, spend so much time flushing out each other's items, but we do it on the front end. That's one. Number two, I do know, and going back to the previous commission meetings before I was on the commission, that this was a recommendation by the Florida League of Cities. And the Florida League of Cities recommended that we go through future agenda items to ensure that we actually move through our items and ensure that our items are correctly flushed out when we have them done. So one of the things that I noticed since we took out future agenda items is we have directed the manager to do certain things. We have placed we have placed an enormous amount of items on the agenda that unfortunately our city, our departments have not been able to really push through. And so then on the back end, we then come back to commission meeting and then we hear spank on the hand, I don't have this done, you have 30 days to do this. Well, we're flushing out so many items that we're not giving our support staff the time to actually work through them. And so that's what my opinion, and this is an opinion, that if we return back to systems, good systems and routines and processes that we had in place before, that we will allow our staff, our city staff, to catch up with items. Now, I do know that others will say the opposite, and it's okay, but we're not seeing, and I myself have said, hey, where's this item? I haven't seen this. Well, if you go back to look at all the agenda items that we've had, so many of them have been, I need a report. I need a report in 30 days. I need this. I want this. I want this. I want this. And I myself don't even know how you can even keep up with everything that we're asking. So I would like to see a better system put in place. I know everybody on the board, specifically Vice Mayor, was not here when future agenda items took place. So it is my hope that Vice Mayor, and I'm only speaking to you because I think we all had a taste of it, that you see both sides. And if future agenda items is not where we need to go, then it's okay for us to revisit again. But I think as a board, we need to see and we need to all experience some good systems and processes in place that's going to allow our staff to really push through our items and make sure that we're not seeing all these incomplete items that we're seeing because they're being rushed to be placed on the agenda. So that's my piece. Thank you.
Okay. Well, Commissioner Williams, if you don't mind me to weigh in on the things that you said. I understand the flushing out, but I don't think that's because remember now, future agenda items, we only briefly state the intent. We don't dive into it at that moment. The only time that we can dive into it is during commission meetings when we have the discussion items. And we already have systems in place as it relates to when we send items that we want to go on the agenda to the manager or designee in order for staff to have time to, do what you said, to work on it. But I don't feel that a future agenda item is necessary. And I said this before, we got up here to legislate. And this only would neutralize the commission as legislators. And the only person or people that will be allowed to put things on the agenda without a barrier. And also a lot of the items that came up tonight that we fleshed out were management or staff items. So the only persons that will be allowed to move things forward is the city manager, the city attorney, and the city clerk. When we were elected to be the legislators and the policymakers of this city. So if you're neutralizing that power, I don't understand what we're up here to do. And I don't know if that's your intent. And I don't mean to say it that way. And I don't know if that's your intent. But those are my feelings on the item, which is the reason why when I first got on the dais, I asked for this to be removed. So that's where I'm at with it. And because I don't think it's going to accomplish anything. It didn't accomplish anything before, and I don't think it's going to accomplish anything now. The only thing it just says that, hey, I want to put ice cream, feed all the employees with ice cream. We have to vote to whether or not it's going to go on the agenda. And then we work with staff to bring it and then discuss it. We still have to discuss it on the diet. So to me, adding an extra barrier doesn't accomplish anything, in my opinion. And I understand you said that the League of Cities said this is good practice, but there are not a lot of cities in South Florida or in Florida that utilizes this practice. I understand it was brought to Opa-Locka, but not a lot of cities do this practice. Well, that's my take on future agenda items. We know how I feel about it. I can't support it. I can't support it. Commissioner Kelly?
I've seen it both ways as well. I really was surprised to see it on the agenda. But as my colleague said, after looking at both sides, she felt it compelling to bring back, and I respect that. The challenge I have with the legislation is we're here to set policy and set legislation, and putting that in the hands of the three appointed officials is not what we're elected to do. And I've watched prior to where folks don't want something on the agenda and they just won't vote it to even get a look, not even knowing what it is. And so it just sits there. It could be the best piece of legislation, but it never even gets a review or a look, depending upon the dynamics of that day. You have a process in place, which I'm not even thrilled about this process, but it's the one that's being utilized. We have to submit items to the city manager by a certain time frame. He and his staff have an obligation to do their research and do their due diligence, make a recommendation to the commission. The attorney has a role, obviously, in preparing the legal document. And if it doesn't meet those time frames, it can't get on the official agenda unless it's added on to. And again, a lot of the items that are coming forward do require a lot of flushing out. That's not going to take place in that initial vote. So I'm really not supportive of the item. And the other thing is, when you talk about reports and overwhelming, it would be great. And I think a lot of items that we have on the agenda, in my opinion, wouldn't be there, but for lack of communication and not getting information in a timely manner. So you have to create a resolution. I've said up here many times, and I've said here over the years, and it could be good or bad, where the commission would give a directive, and it was kind of understood that the majority, or at least the entire commission, kind of felt that way. And the manager's office would look into it, come back, and I understand that's no longer the case. So that's been a resolution form for a report, and many things that I've requested going back historically, I've never had to do. And I always go back to Meet Me Monday. I've never had to do that, but I had to do it just to get information. Some of the reports that we see are asking, we did it tonight. Please bring it back in 30 days. Please doing this, give us a report on Gloria. We had to do it through legislation rather than just simple communication. But I'm trying to figure out the way this is structured. You have to bring it forth. 3 of us have to agree to even talk about it. Then it still has to go through that flushing out process, come back to us for whatever review or whatever. But if I don't think it's a good idea, I may even have all the facts, because we're certainly not going to be able, for the future agenda item, as you're proposing it, pass out information and here's why I want to do it. That's not the setting for it. That's going to be time consuming in itself. But I understand you're wanting to bring it back after looking at it both ways. I think the process is in place. We have to turn it in by 12 noon or whatever time frame to the manager's office. They do their due diligence. And in some cases, they may come back and say, we need more time. We're still researching it, so we can't get it done as quickly. And that can happen too. It goes to the attorney, legal sufficiency, come back to the commission, and then we vote on it. But a future item may not even get on there because we're not going to discuss in detail whatever we're proposing. because it comes at the end of the meeting. We're all been here probably 2 or 3 hours. We're not going to listen to another 15 or 20-minute discussion on why I should put this on the agenda, because we're going to ask more questions then that the sponsor of the item may not even be prepared to answer. And so it's going to require us saying, no, I can't support putting it on the agenda because I don't have this question answered. I may not have been prepared to answer that because of the complexity of the issue. But you know, you indicated one person was really new to it, but I've seen it work both ways. But I would listen to my colleagues, and we could just vote it up or down. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
No problem. Any other questions or concerns to the sponsor of this item? All right, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Kelly,
No.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Bass,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin,
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
No.
Motion passes 3-2, first reading.
All right. Next item 16A2.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Opa-Locka, Florida, amending Article 10 of the 10.5 of the City of Opa-Locka's Code of Ordinances to establish the City of Opa-Locka's Housing and Social Services Department, providing for severability, providing for conflict and repealer, and providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by Mayor Taylor.
All right, can I get a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Williams, second by Commissioner Bass. And I'll introduce this item. Simply put, we don't have a department that directly speaks to the needs of our community. And I want to create something in Opa-Locka where it's a resource center where our residents can go to get and receive help. So that's why you see this here before you on tonight. And I'll take any questions as it relates to this item. All right, hearing none. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Bass,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0, first reading.
All right. 16A3.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Opa-Locka, Florida, amending Chapter 2, Article 2, Division 2, Section 2-65 of the City of Opa-Locka's Code of Ordinances entitled State of the City to add a requirement that the mayor consult in a workshop setting with the city commission, city manager, and city attorney no later than 15 days prior to the State of the City address, providing for severability, providing for conflict and repealer, and providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by Commissioner Bass.
All right, can I get a motion for this item?
Move it.
Moved by
Second.
Vice Mayor, second by Commissioner Williams. Commissioner Bass, this is your item. Go ahead and
Thank you.
introduce it.
Thank you. I brought this item for the fact that, well, first, let me just say thank you to our mayor for the work that he has been putting into securing a wonderful state of the city for the last 2 years. But as it relates to our charter, it says that, I'm paraphrasing, that you should consult with us before writing your state of the city address. So I just wanted to make sure that that happens going forth, that our voices are heard during the state of the city address written by you. And I know that you have had the office reach out to us to put like what we thought about certain things, but that's not the whole shebang. So again, I just want to make sure that we all have a voice as it relates to the state of the city.
Okay. When you say voice, what's the intent of this resolution? Because I hear voice, so what do you, because I'm not the first and only mayor that has ever sat in Opa-Locka. And the state of the city has been done this way for many years. So clearly, and I'll just say it straight, it's a targeted resolution. It is.
Well,
And I don't know where it's coming from.
I'm sorry that you feel that
So,
way, and
but-
you should know me better than that.
Let me finish my question, please. So are you asking for the planning or you want the speech? That's what I'm a little,
No, I'm asking for
confused.
what is in the chart itself. If you read it, it says that you're supposed to consult with us.
I read the charter.
So that's all I'm asking, that you consult with us when writing the state of the city address. Now, if you want to add for us to also be a part of the core, I don't have a problem with that either.
Okay, Commissioner Bass. Any other concerns on this item?
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Kelly?
well, I'm not the mayor, so it's not really my challenge, but there are so many things that this city needs to address. So many things. And we're at the point now about how we're preparing the state of the city address.
We are.
And then we're going to fall back on the charter. Because the charter says certain things should be spent a certain way, but we don't do it. We come back in a budget amendment. The charter says anything over $25,000, the commission approved. We've allowed it. The charter says a lot we don't follow through. But to bring up a legislative item, basically saying consult with the commission, the manager, the attorney before, because the charter says so. So guess what? If this passes, everything that's in the charter, word for word, verbatim, it better occur. It better occur, because we're going to go steep down to this level. If you got something you want to put in there, just say to the mayor, that ain't no sunshine violation. He tries to encompass all of us of what we're doing. He asks you to have your own little statement piece to put in the address. He acknowledges us at the meeting. So I don't know what more we want to include as a part of this report or this presentation that he doesn't see, because basically it comes from the manager and all the things that have occurred over the course of the year. He's the figure, he's the face of the city, but I'm just amazed that we're at this point with everything going on in this city, the challenges we have, infrastructure, everything we got going on, that we're reduced now to a charter changing ordinance here, basically, to say you got to consult in a workshop setting with the city commission, basically before you give the state of the city. No later than 15 days prior. I know as a mayor, sometimes I've been working on that speech for a couple of months, and I'm encompassing what is taking place 15 days before. I'm not even sure the manager's office has all the stuff they're giving that quickly or earlier, because things are changing. I would implore my colleagues, please don't reduce us to this, requiring that the mayor consult in a workshop. And even if the charter does say it, it says a lot. So we're going to go that route, and we're going to follow the charter to the letter, to the T. I don't have a problem with that either. I don't have a problem with that either. We can do that. But I think this legislation is something that is not really necessary or good for the city as a whole, given all of our issues and challenges that we have going on, that we got an ordinance on requiring input. We can't be reduced to that. I'm quite sure the mayor does not have a office, a position that you can't, hope we include this. Hope you don't forget to mention that. I'm quite sure he's trying to be inclusive of all of us. He even asks us to write something that goes into the program. And I'll tell you, as mayor, when I was mayor, I didn't do that. I tried to encompass what folks were doing. I had them stand, mention what projects they were doing, what things they were doing, but I never actually said, write it down and put it in there. He's went as far to say, whatever you want to include, these are your thoughts. These are what you want to say. I'll put it into the official program. I think this is not good at all. And I would implore you not to pass this, because it sends a bad message that we're reduced to now basically saying to the mayor, before you make the state of the city address, you make sure you consult with the commission. As though I'm really disappointed to see it, but I appreciate everybody has their own opinion and I respect it. So however the commission votes, we will vote. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And I want to say this for the record to the sponsor. because you suggested and alluded to that I violated the charter. And you also said I didn't read it. For the record, I reached out both to the manager. I reached out to the commission through the clerk's office. I also reached out to the attorney's office. And I went a step further and actually reached out to the clerk. So that assumption is not true. So I just want to say that for the record.
Well, first, let me just, through the mayor to Commissioner Kelly. I respect you as one of the senior persons sitting on this dais. But it bothers me right now to, in my opinion, for you to basically belittled an ordinance that is brought forth based on the city's charter. Yeah. And to the mayor, again, I applaud you for your work. I'm just saying that as a member of the dais, my voice counts. All our voices count. Maybe some of us don't care, but I care. I care. I care that my voice is heard, or my thoughts are that they matter. I'm not going to pull this item because, and I hate the fact that you would think that this is targeted against you.
It is.
I
I'm the only
hate
mayor up here.
the fact,
Come on.
I hate the fact that you really believe that. That just, according to Williams, give me pause that you would even think that.
Bass, you just sat up here and I don't want to argue about this, but you just sat up here and said that your voice matters. And you're pretty much saying that I didn't give you a voice. And in that state of the city, I never said I was very inclusive. And for you to sit here and suggest that I ignored you or some kind of matter, I'm sorry. If there's no, I have no other question. So we can call the question.
No, I know
'Cause
you.
this is,
Let me,
it is targeted and I'm sorry.
Let me-
It's targeted.
let me,
It is what it is.
Mr. Mayor.
I'm sorry, Commissioner.
Okay, no, I know. I my mic check. So maybe for the first time in Opa-Locka's history, or maybe any commission history, three members that sit up here have done a state of the city. Right?
Mhm.
Three of us have done a state of the city. So we all have some context behind, we have a lens, and the state of the city kind of live and breathe into, what we're doing at the time. And of course, and the mayor as well, because that's the charter says that our mayor is our figurehead, the person that's out front. So that's why the state of the city lives with the mayor. But I do want to say that I do hear both sides, and I do think that as every turn of the way, inclusion within the state of the city is always a good thing. I am going to, and I know I heard Commissioner Bass say she wasn't going to pull it, but I am going to request a pull only because let me say, the thought process of where you may want to go could reside in the next state of the city, and having that conversation with the mayor and having conversations. I don't know necessarily if it has to go on legislation, but having that conversation, each of us, I don't know if it needs to be in paper and pencil, but if this is the direction of where the next state of the city is going to go, then maybe having a consultation, and I can go all these different routes of what we could do, but, and I do see the mayor's point of view, because I myself didn't do it. To be honest, it was based off of what the city was doing, all the positive things that the city was doing, and all the things that that was going to move us forward at the time. So I think that I know Commissioner Bass said she wasn't going to pull it, but I think that a pull would be great. only to number one, so that there's no disjointment on the board. And number two, I'm sure that if you and the mayor have that consultation based off of what you would like to see and what all of us would like to see in the next go around, maybe that could be, I'm just trying to, come to a happy medium so that we're not disjointed on the board. That's it.
If I may.
Commissioner Barron?
Commissioner Williams, thank you for your words of wisdom. I'm not gonna even say I'm torn, because I'm not, because I know what I want. I believe if the mayor had not stated that he felt targeted, I would have been more convinced to pull it. I just don't like that you really think that I targeted you. That really bothered me.
The legislation bothered me, Barron.
Well, I understand and I respect that, but it's not a targeted resolution. It's a more inclusive resolution that I would like to see you talk with us more. Let us know what you're doing within the State of the City address, because truth be told, last year, we couldn't even get into this room. It was on lockdown. We knew absolutely nothing. Nothing at all. State of the City this year, we knew absolutely nothing. But we're all here. Yes, we know you are the head of the city. You're the face of the city. I respect you for that. I don't want your position. It's too much pressure for me. So let me stay where I am. I'm just saying you need to be more inclusive. And if this was the route that I had to go for me to be more inclusive, then this is the route. When it comes to having the open forum, that was suggested just so we won't go against have violations and having those conversations. That was the only reason why that occurred. And I'm still at the point where I'm just gonna let it go. If it votes down, then it votes down. If it's up, it's up.
Mr. Mayor, can I just correct the record on just a couple of things? You all are referring to the charter. You're not in violation of your charter. It's an ordinance. So that's one thing. And I just wanted to make sure if anybody were looking at because charters obviously would have to be passed with a referendum if it were a change. So we're not talking about a charter. We're talking about an ordinance. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Attorney. All right, we've been around this mountain too long. So can we please call the question?
Commissioner Bass?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin?
This is crazy.
No.
Commissioner Kelly?
No.
Commissioner Williams?
No.
Mayor Taylor?
No.
Motion fails.
All right, we have no second reading ordinances, no resolution. Mr. Manager, you can go ahead with your report.
Thank you. So unfortunately, as many of us are aware, we had a scenario where a young child was struck in our city. First, and to provide all the details, first by a bus, a county bus, and secondarily by a SUV. So the scenario is when a death occurs, those cases are immediately taken over by Miami-Dade County Homicide Division for investigation and processing. However, if a death does not occur and the child thankfully survived, the child was airlifted to Ryder Trauma Center at Jackson and is now in stable condition, that case remains the City of Opa-Locka Police Department's case. So I want to bring to the commission's attention and highlight the efforts of our police department as the vehicle that, the second vehicle that actually struck the child and ran over the child and departed and left the scene, that our police department has now identified the vehicle and we are actively looking to apprehend the driver. So I want to bring that attention to our community about those efforts on behalf of our Opa-Locka Police Department. Next, and also it's not discussed enough that our crime rates are down, lower than our sister cities. And as Vice Mayor will say, as she's out in the community, and the crime we do have, it come from them sister cities. So
Most definitely.
there is actually data that actually supports that. So we are at a 10-year low in our crime statistics. We're doing very well, and we're continuing to see our detectives do tremendous, and all of our officers do tremendous work out there. Next, I continue to have some additional good news. For the first time, and we like to tout our first, for the first time in the history of the city of Opa-Locka, the CRA will audit report will be published with the unqualified opinion. So we're very, very excited about that, to position the CRA in that manner. To have an unqualified opinion means that an external auditing accountant has reviewed the financials, balanced the books, checks and balances, and for the first time, we're able to establish that. I'll save the rest of my report for the mayor's report on that. And since the time is 9, I will hold my additional items and send them to you in writing.
Okay, any questions for the manager?
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Kelly?
this is the only form I have, so I have to do it here. I asked last year on several occasions, it's documented, about the properties on Lincoln and Magnolia North and also the Jackson North property on 27. I see some demolition and some things taking place, but I have not received anything from the manager's office on what's taking place in terms of what's going to happen at both sites and what do we know is being proposed for development. And again, this goes to that other item, so I'm bringing it up again because I've requested that previously over the last year. I also want to mention about the park system. We had said when we opened up the park at Ingram Park that there would be programs over there. There still has been no programs really presented to the community. I notice now we have a soccer club program over there. And I had a couple of citizens reach out to me because I was actually out of town, I guess, when they first was over there. How was the community notified that they're there? And is it a city program? Is it another entity using the facility? So I was by there, rode through there yesterday evening, last night, and it seems like it's the club that used to be at Shabandi that's over there. So I want to know, we have an MOU with them to provide the program or the service, and how is the community notified that we have soccer over there and what other programs we're going to have. I'm going to stay on that. I'm going to stay on that. And I'm going to stay on that. The next thing that I want to ask about is, you know what, I'll say that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, any other questions or concerns to the city manager? Commissioner Williams?
Mr. Mayor, did you want me to respond or?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh.
No,
I'm
you can
so
give it
sorry.
for the time. He can give it to us in writing. Give it all to us in writing.
Okay. Okay, Commissioner Williams?
Okay, I did have two things. I know we talked about the communication and everything. Last Saturday, there was a bike ride that was happening in our city that I happened to be driving by. This bike ride, everyone had on University of Miami shirts. And I thought to myself, wow, like we have what's the police cars with green? What's the police cars with the green? Is that the county?
Right.
The county. So like the county cars blocked streets.
Oh, cancer research.
Okay. I knew I saw. So they blocked streets within Opa-Locka, and I thought it to be strange that the board didn't know that this bike ride was happening, that streets was being, because I'm sure we would have like been a part of it. So I was just like, why didn't we, know what was going on?
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners.
One sec. You finished, Commissioner Williams?
Yeah, well, no, I'm not. And then, that, and then also piggybacking on what Commissioner Kelly said, I did also see a, big, I don't know what you call that thing. What did you call that? The machine over by the old Jackson North. So
Yeah.
so yeah, I see all this movement happening, but I don't see there was no communication of what is happening at Jackson North. There's also streets I know I see there's some closures happening on the sidewalks of 27th Avenue along 151st leading up to I don't know if it goes all the way down to the train tracks, but I'm like, what is this work? Like, I don't know what that work is about either. So I'm just curious, just want to know.
Okay. Manager? Chief?
So Chief, I'd like for you to address any knowledge. First, I'll say as the city manager, um, we were not my office has not provided any notification of a road closures for a bike ride. And had we received that notification or authorized such an event, we absolutely would have informed the commission. If there's any additional information that's not received up to my office, and I hope that that's not the case, I'll defer to the chief of police for any information he has on a bike ride going through the city of Opa-Locka.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. I am absolutely unaware of a bike ride that had anything to do with the city of Opa-Locka. Traditionally, what happens, the county, Miami-Dade Police Department has, through their Special Events Bureau, sponsor or are contract to monitor these types of bike rides throughout Miami-Dade County. If this came through our city, then it was all on them, and I will check tomorrow, first thing, find out how we were not notified. And for the fact that the county vehicles were there blocking and providing security for these bikers, be it UM or anyone, and at times it happens, it covers 5 or 6 miles throughout different areas of the county. But the fact it came through Opa-Locka and we were not notified is troubling to me. So I will find out and report back to the manager tomorrow.
Okay.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes,
can I take a pen right there, please?
sure.
I'm challenged by that because the signs for the cancer ride, were out there 2 or 3 days in advance. They put them out in advance. They're out there a day or two to let you know they're coming. So you're saying we weren't notified at all about them coming to our city?
That would have come
Wow.
to my office from special events
Right.
via the normal channels to let us know, to notify us that this was happening in our city. That absolutely did not happen.
Wow. Well, I'll be glad what response y'all get. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner.
And Chief, I'm telling you, it was a lot of county cars that cut off 151st, like where we did our MLK walk. They cut off traffic. We've done bike rides and the other lanes can continue. They cut the lane, like no one could go north, south, east, west as those bikers continued. And then we've had, the mayor has had bike rides before, and of course, others have straggled in the back. They continue to close these roads all the way down to 27th Avenue. And I thought it was just so completely disrespectful, to be honest, that here it is, we're closing down streets in Opa-Locka. People cannot pass. 27th Avenue and 151st was a gridlocked all the way down to the Palmetto because these bikers were passing over 27th Avenue to go down up into 22nd Avenue and turn back to come back through Opa-Locka.
Yeah, that was definitely a special events
I
from
think
Miami-Dade
that
County. And for the fact that we weren't notified that we were open for the off-duty process to work with them, we definitely weren't notified because none of our officers worked off-duty on that project. And I was definitely not notified by Miami-Dade Police Department.
And so I did take a picture because I was like, we weren't invited to go to I would have taken my bike out of storage, but I'm sorry, but the sign was there.
Okay.
And I did take a picture of it because there was a sign right on the corner before you get to Amazon on the north and the south. It was, there was, the signs was there. I was shocked that no Opa-Locka police officer drove or saw this. Like
Yeah.
it was, okay, thank you.
So I'd like to add to that, Commissioner Williams, through the mayor. We take that very seriously. You used a word that you said disrespectful, and I happen to agree with that. And I want to bring to the commission's attention that this is not the first time. It's an ongoing issue, not particularly with this bike ride, that we as a city do not always gain the respect as a self-standing, self-governing city as we do. The ongoing issue is there is a standing MOU that if a police department from a neighboring city or even the county is conducting an operation, even a covert operation within the city limits, they're supposed to inform the chief of police. I have personally, as city manager, have found operations of vehicles from that do not belong to Opa-Locka Police Department actively engaging in police forcing without the knowledge of the chief of police. It's an ongoing issue. We do find it disrespectful, and we shall address it forcefully and report back to the commission.
Thank you,
Thank
Chief. And then if we, oh no, you're good. Thank you. And then just wanted to get some information on what's happening at the Old Jackson North as well. I'm just curious what's going on over there.
That's actually gone through the process of the PZAB board and approved by the commission. It's a senior housing development project that was approved by the commission, is now underway.
Thank
Okay,
you. I'm done.
any other concerns for the manager?
Yep, Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Bass?
thank you. Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, Mr. Manager. Mr. Manager, I had a couple residents inquired about what are we doing with our infrastructure. Also pointed out that we're doing a lot of events, but they wanted to know what's going on with infrastructure. So are you able to share with us a little bit, and as well as email us, what you are currently working on?
Yes, absolutely. One of the projects that we were working on with the previous company, Medium PR company, is a slide presentation that the members of the commission can post on their social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, that talks about what the city of Opa-Locka is doing as far as infrastructure. 4 projects off the top of my head that I recall. It had had a slide presentation of Historic City Hall, which is an infrastructure project, the historic fire station. We are moving forward with a very high demand call from our residents to repair Sesame Street Bridge, which, has been an ongoing effort and an engaging conversation with the city commission. And we're now entering into phase 5 of our sidewalk program, where we're looking to install sidewalks throughout the whole city. So we are aggressively moving forward on the infrastructure projects, and we can provide that to the entire commission for documentation.
I think with one more. One more observation. Driving around the city, I've noticed that there are several signs with the police department's logo on it that is dilapidated, colors change. Actually, there's one on Ahmad Street. It's basically flipped upside down in mid-am. So I'm just hoping that, as our officers or even employees or us, as we're driving around the city and we see these things, that we can point it out to you. So I would like for you to please kindly have someone to look into that, as well as the one right off Ahmad Street in the medium. It's flipped upside down and the colors change, and it really doesn't look good. And also the signs that says that Opa-Locka is a bird. What's the word? Sanctuary. Those signs are done. So if you can look into that, we will appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and Mr. Manager,
Yes, sir.
for me, I don't know if the same person spoke to me that spoke to Baz, but they wasn't so much talking about CIP projects, more or less the flooding issue in the city of Opa-Locka. And that person confronted me, all y'all do is events, and we flooded out over here. So that's, again, I don't know if this is the same person that spoke, but the person that approached me, that's what they said. Like, all y'all do is events, and we're still flooding. So can you speak to that? And you don't have to do it now, but maybe in the future.
Okay.
Like, what's the mitigation plan for mitigation of flooding in the city of Opa-Locka? And we're about to go into hurricane season.
Well, If I may, Mr. Mayor,
Sure.
we will provide through our CRP Department a flooding mitigation plan, but I want to talk about the progress that we've made, and we've discussed this before. If you, and last year during the rainy season, if you recall in previous years, that was the first year that we were actually dry. When other parts of, we had a very severe weather event and we were actually dry. Because of all of the work that we've done and all the progress we've made on flooding mitigation. The area that as I've reported to the commission, that area that is causing us some consternation, and we've now put in 3 separate projects, I think 2, and now we're working on a 3rd project to try to fix the flooding over there, is by Ashwan Village. And that area, as I've reported to the commission several times, it's not because we're not trying. We're now on our 3rd project to try to figure out how do we get this water to drain from here. So we're going to continue to work on it. The other areas that are really impacted by flooding are commercial. One of them being Carroll Lane, and we're about to turn our attention there as soon as we get Aswan Village cleared out.
Okay, and you need to add 2 more to those hotspot areas, because you still have, I believe it's 133rd, which is where Ingram Terrace apartments are.
That's a county project.
But the street belongs to us. That's why it floods there.
Because of the county project. So we're going to at some point have to engage the county because the water is dumping into our roads.
That's fine, as long as we have a plan to mitigate it. And the other area is, I believe that's Aladdin Street, which is, what is that, south of Burger King by the Bell South, and going towards the senior citizen building. We're doing it right here. What is that?
Archbishop McCarthy?
No, that's
That's
it's on the east side of the city, right behind, south of Burger King. I think that's Aladdin Street, if I'm not mistaken. It goes into the it's like in the cul-de-sac with the townhomes with the different colors. It's Aladdin. I'm almost certain it's Aladdin.
They're saying
There's
3
this-
different streets.
There's a senior center. If you're going east, there's a senior center that goes to your right, and there's a cul-de-sac around. It's just townhouses, one way in, one way out.
We'll find it, sir.
Okay. And the other thing is on 37th Avenue, 151st Street, the welcome sign is on the ground. Like it's not now, 151st and 37th Avenue.
Okay.
And last but not least, I've been driving through the city, and I brought this up to both your assistant city managers. I love that you have finally changed the seals on the bus stops, as well as, I know we're getting new signs, welcome signs, but most of them have already been changed. So thank you, because I kept saying, why do we have 2 different seals in that city? But I love the fact that it's now changed. So thank you for that. Any other questions from the manager on his report? All right, we're moving along. I don't see any boards here. Okay, no boards here to do their official reports. As we move on to the mayor and commission report, I'll start and then I'll come back to do my report. But under my report, it's the financial oversight update, Mr. Manager.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Very, very excited to say that Opa-Locka is perhaps, if not the first and only city, one of the few cities to have ever, as of tomorrow, completed 3 annual financial reports in 18 months. So we will be timely submitting tomorrow. Okay. We are waiting. I think the only thing we're waiting is a signature that we need from Jason Walker from the CRA. That's the only item left on our 2022 annual financial report. So we will be as we get that signature from Mr. Walker, we'll be submitting that document to the state as planned, as agreed upon, and as requested. And then turning our attention immediately to the 2023 report. So we are making great strides with our finance department, with our team, with moving forward and addressing the financial stability of the city of Opa-Locka.
Okay, that's great to hear, and I'm really excited to hear that, Mr. Manager.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions about the financial oversight? Because I do have one question, Mr. Manager.
Yes, sir.
Could you say do we have a timeline on when we're gonna have 22, 23 submitted? Because I know it's due March with the extension of June.
June,
Mhm.
yes, with the extension of June. So we're going to start working on it tomorrow, March 1st, and probably give us just a few weeks to get a timeline and to do a review of when we can have that delivered.
And with that being said, will we be penalized that we missed the deadline and have submitted by the extension date?
No, sir. We've actually been behind for 10 years now. So they're not, they're supporting our progress.
All right. And last but not least, I think it is time for us to and I know it's not, this conversation probably will not go anywhere because it's premature. However, we need to engage with the state to figure out what we need to do to get off financial oversight. And then we need to explain that to the residents so that they are aware. Because a lot of people, they know that the governor is, we gotta beg for permission to buy toilet paper, but they don't know the next step. So I'm asking you to engage with the state to say, what do we need to do to get out of financial oversight, and then prepare that in a report form, and that way we can put it and blast it out so everybody's on the same page.
Yes, sir.
All right. The next is the Glorieta Gardens update.
Yes, sir. So the county has taken the lead on the enforcing the rights of the residents of Glorieta Gardens. They filed a lawsuit, and I was reported to that Glorieta Gardens engaged the county, and now they have settled. They have a settlement agreement in place. I do not have a copy of that settlement agreement. I'll be sure to try to get a copy and forward it to our city attorney for her review, and as to the commission. So progress is being made. They are looking to move forward. We did their water bill now, unfortunately, is up to $1 million. They have not, according to our records, they have not paid on their water bill since July of last year. So we have had 2 meetings regarding when we can get a payment and when we can get a payment plan. As of today, they made an offer to do a 5% deposit, which would be about $40,000 to $50,000. And the 48-month payment plan. I told them to submit that in writing so that we can review and discuss how that gets moved forward. And that's the progress that we're making with Glorieta Gardens.
Okay, is that specifically for building 8? Because I don't know about everybody else, but a lot of residents have been calling because the rent office has been closed because they say that there's no water in the rent office. So as a result, they had to close the rent office.
Okay.
And then the residents are also saying that the bill was paid and we just won't turn on the water. Again, this is coming from residents. I don't know, but I'm just telling you, this is what is being said.
Okay. So again, they owe the city of Opa-Locka $1 million. They have not made a payment since July of last year. The water is shut off in building number 8 and also to the office spaces. If it'd be the will of the commission that we turn that water back on, we'd be more than willing to do so. The community office is being utilized by Glorieta Gardens management. That has been successful in bringing them to the table, because as long as it was only impacting the residents, there has been no discussion to date about a payment plan or making any payment, because they know we're not going to shut the water off to the residents. But the moment that water was shut off for the use of their employees to wash their hands and flush the toilet and I guess cook food or whatever they're doing there, now we're having conversations. I would hope to continue those conversations. And I've always said to the management team, we'd be more, make a good faith payment, at least make a payment, even if it is the $40,000 to $50,000 that they proffered today. And we'd be more than happy to work with you to get that water cut back on.
Yeah.
Commissioner Kelly?
I only have one concern about this process. Getting to the table, I have no problem with. When these kind of things happen that impact residents, even though it impacted the office, you have to let the commission know so we're at least aware of why that water is off and whatever the purpose. They haven't paid a bill. We're using it to leverage or whatever. You want to have a conversation because you don't want to have an email, but so we will know, because otherwise we don't know. The water's just off and the city turned the water off. And how am I going to do whatever? Again, it comes back on the city. So if that's the determination from management, we're gonna shut it off to bring them to the table and it has worked, or that was the process, then just let us know, because I got some of those same kinds of calls and I wasn't even in town. The water's off, we can't do this, can't do that. The city shut the water off. And I'm pretty sure, I didn't reach out to you because I was out of town, but I'm pretty sure there was a reason why I was off, but I didn't get an email because I looked to see. So, you know, I know you just said, do we want to turn it on? They owe us $1 million. The question I have is, you asked them to submit it in writing to you by when? Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry.
I asked for them to submit it today, so I'm hoping that they'll submit something in writing tomorrow, and if the commission
Okay,
wants.
so is that something that would have to come out to the commission, or something that can be done managerially? So that, so if it's not appealing or it doesn't work or whatever, the next recourse, what is going to be?
Well, if the commission would like to weigh on that, I'd be more than happy to bring that as, I'm not sure if that would be a resolution or how we would.
No, I'm just
present
saying
that to
going
the
forward,
commission.
because you haven't even got any agreement, or whatever you propose, they have to agree to it. I just want to make sure, end of the day, it's still residents' water getting cut off. So if there's a threshold, if 48, over 48 months or whatever works, that's fine. But again, these are residents who are affected. So I guess as soon as you get your
So
agreement or
I
whatever.
want to be clear on, I'm not sure how residents would be affected. They still have total access to the community center. They can utilize the community center. There's AC in the community centers. There's still program in the community center. If that's the concern, the water is shut off to the office spaces of the of that are utilized for, you know, flushing the toilet and
Isn't the office space and the community center in the exact same building? It's in the same building.
yes,
So if kids are utilizing where do they go to the bathroom?
and their homes. But again, if it's the will of the commission that we turn the water back on, I'd be more than happy to do that.
But
I'm not.
No, that's why
No.
that's why, Ms. Mayor, that's why I'm raising the point. I understand the pressure on them because they have to use it, but the kids use community center. I'm just saying, let us know.
No.
We've shut out the center, the community center and their offices, but the residents have their units available, so it's not a big impact. Because remember, what we get is the water turned off. We don't know the specifics. Now, you just explained it a little clearer. That makes more sense. It's not actually some unit's toilet that they can't flush or whatever.
Mhm.
But when all we get is the water is off, we don't know. So if you could just communicate to us going forward, that agreement works fine. As long as it's not the tenants' units, you know, they can work around the others.
Yeah,
Mr. Mayor.
I think we're all in agreement that, yeah, do what you need to do.
Yes, sir.
Please.
Yeah, do what you need to do, but also provide an update on building 8, because we're also getting those calls that we're ready to go back home. So please.
So
whenever
again,
you
with
get a
building
minute-
8, we have provided them every opportunity to repair those buildings, outside of going in there and doing the repairs
No,
ourselves.
you understand? Just when you get a minute, just get an update of what's going on, and once the timeline of when they're gonna return, I guess, once they pay the water bill.
But no, they're operating. That's why I said it's a private we've done everything we can outside of actually doing the repairs ourselves. The time that they're taking is the time that they're taking. We provided them provisional permits. We've actually sent officers out there to do the permits for them. They didn't even have to come into City Hall. We inspected the work. We are pushing them as fast as we can possibly, as hard as we can possibly push them. And I'm not sure I'm not sure if it's a funding issue or why they're moving so slowly, but the city of Opa-Locka has bent over backwards to get them to complete the repairs at Building 8.
I'm not blaming you at all. That's why I
Mm.
said, just figure out what they're doing on their end.
Okay.
Just give us a report to say, this is what we're gonna do. We plan on having them back, blah, 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 blah. And just, that's what I'm asking. The last thing is the city manager search update by the.
Before you go there, I just want to put on the record, each of you should have in your email the settlement agreement. I did mention to one of you today because you wanted to put forth an item regarding the Glorietta Gardens. That was settled last Friday. The settlement agreement is attached in the email. And as I told you in the memorandum that I sent to everybody, we have been monitoring that. So I have been in contact with the county. We spoke, the county attorney who was handling the settlement document, we spoke just recently. And so next steps the manager will need to look at the settlement agreement. He's copied on it and determine where the gaps are in terms of what was being requested previously and what kind of things have already been taken care of pursuant to the settlement agreement. And I think a lot of things will be addressed. So you'll, need to do some analysis with your staff. So I just wanted to put that on the record, just so you all were aware.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Attorney. All right, and last, the city manager search update by the Human Resource Director, Ms. Adams.
Good evening, Commission.
Good evening.
So my update is as follows, and at the end, I would ask you to please consider a recommendation, suggestion that I have to complete the search. I know you like the word complete, right? The interviews with the 3 shortlisted applicants were completed late Monday this week, Monday afternoon on the 27th. The same thing I submitted, at the same time I submitted a process to have the level 1 background checks and the level 2 background checks for the 3 shortlisted applicants. The issue was we could not have background checks done when someone didn't agree to interview, and then what if they decided not to interview? So it's kind of information as needed. You don't want a level 2 background check in your records on someone that fell out of the interviewing. And because of a lot of scheduling, you all are very busy. You have full lives, not just being our commission. We did interview, and thank you so much for interviewing on Saturday and Sunday. Thank you so much. And getting all of those done. So per the resolutions associated with the recruiting process for the position, both the level 1 and level 2 background checks are being done by independent outside sources, meaning our police department is not included, is included in not being part of the resource following that resolution. By next Wednesday, March 6th, the background checks are expected to be complete. I've spoken with both sources, and they are very sure that it's okay for me to use that date in public tonight. So what I suggest is to have a special session / workshop next Wednesday and have a format to close out based on a poll from you all at the end of the interview process, who you would like to receive the written job offer as our city manager. The format would look like the following. I would moderate interview questions and ask each applicant questions. We would put a timer with the IT department assisting so that each applicant are given the same amount of time to answer the questions. I would like to invite the employees, the commission, and the community to submit to me potential questions. They may be commingled in ones I ask, or they may not be used depending on the issues or how they are phrased. That is what I suggest in the format. I would think that this total process should take no more than 2 hours. Because you all have already spent time interviewing the applicants, we've gone through their resumes, and you have asked me one-on-one any questions that you have. When we sat through the interviews, I was present within each interview, which was a total of 15 interviews. That completes my report. Are there any questions, please?
Any questions for the HR director on this? Commissioner Bass?
Thank you. I don't have a question, but I'm just thinking, because we're supposed to meet on Monday with the attorney, and you want to meet with us on Wednesday. Can we kind of combine do it on the same day?
Only if the background checks are done. they told me they may be ready on Monday, but I didn't want to use that date. So that's why I would love to I love combining meetings. Absolutely. Um,
Um,
how late would you want me to give you that update? What time is your meeting? It's 5 p.m., right?
Well, let's find out if the mayor can,
the,
attorney.
the, the clerk would need at least 24 hours to post for posting. And the attorney has already set the meeting. Madam Attorney, can you move that meeting to Wednesday? You cannot. Okay.
Okay, Thursday?
No, we asked her because she moved the current.
Right,
she
would-
announced in the
maybe
previous-
Thursday? Maybe move it.
No.
She can't find it. Yeah,
Okay.
So,
Okay.
that's okay.
well, I guess at this point, we'll
I'm
do a
sorry.
poll whether or not we can do Monday or Wednesday. And you can go through the clerk. Now,
Yes.
the only question that I have, Madam Attorney, because I know we passed a legislation form that by, I don't think it was Commissioner Williams that suggested it, that by the
March
first,
1st.
Yeah.
March 1st.
Yes.
So will we need to prepare something or make a motion or to move it to next week, Wednesday?
If you amend it, we'll make your amendment would be to change that, to amend that resolution. I don't have that number in front of me, but it would be to amend the resolution was it done as a motion, Ms.
It was done
Adams?
as a motion.
Okay, well, it would be to amend that motion.
Oh, it was done as I thought it
Yeah.
was done in resolution form.
No, it was a motion.
No, it was
Okay,
a motion,
perfect.
as I
That's even
recall.
better.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So,
I think if we'd not had to interview into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we would have kept our March 1st deadline, but scheduling just precluded that from happening.
okay, so I'm gonna propose, and I know we said that Wednesday is the date, but I'm gonna say that by Friday, just in case,
Absolutely.
because
Sure.
you said you may have it or you may not have it back. So that'll be
Yes,
my
sir.
motion that by Friday, we will vote. So between now and the
That
8th
would
of
be March 8th.
which is also bingo night.
You talking about on a Friday?
Uh-oh.
No. By Friday,
Before Friday.
before Friday, on or before
On or
Friday.
before Friday. Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, quick question. Well,
Wait, 1 second, because Commissioner Kelly said.
I'm trying to understand the date. She's proposing the 6th. You're proposing the 8th.
The reason why I said the 8th, just in case we can't do it on the 8th, on the 6th, because they didn't come back in time. So, but we have it by the 7th. I just want to give us a window.
But you're trying to set the meeting date for the 8th.
No, not set the meeting date.
no, just the
On
window.
or before the 8th.
Oh,
So
okay.
anytime
Oh, I
between
see.
now and the 8th.
Oh, thank you.
No,
Oh, for the clarity.
yeah.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
what I understand as well.
And Commissioner,
Yeah.
Williams, you had the.
I was gonna thank you because I was gonna say I know we need to move the
Yeah.
needle a little bit more based on the timeline of the interviews. My question, you want to meet Wednesday with the candidates? Wednesday night? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Have
The
they already
candidates would
been,
physically be here?
have they already been briefed to be here?
No, because I have to
Oh.
get your permission.
So I'm just wondering, is that, okay. I mean, I don't know, but I guess they want the job, they be here, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that I just didn't know if that.
Yep.
Okay, because it just seemed a little short, but I do know our window. I don't want to push it anymore. So we're saying the 8th, after this forum, I'll call it forum, a Q&R forum, will we then come back? We would say that night, do we give any reference that night, how we want to move forward, or we wait for the
My
next meeting?
Are
suggestion
we
is.
voting that
Are we
that
voting?
night,
Yeah, that's what I'm
yes,
wondering.
Okay.
Just as we
Okay.
did for the short list,
Okay,
we will poll and I will collect your poll results.
so we're voting on the manager.
Who will receive the written job offer?
Got it. Okay, so now so what's the push to the 8th for?
The background
The
check
background check. She
results.
said something about it
But-
may be back, but it may not be. That's why I said.
But don't we get background checks before we then, I feel like we're putting the cart before the horse a little bit. I'm confused.
We want to have the background checks done. I review them. I submit my report on the night of the meeting.
So are we to assume having forward thinking,
Yes.
that background checks will be completed by next Wednesday?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
that's what I was wondering. I
Yes.
don't know the process of how long it takes. So
I've been told they may be ready on Monday.
Okay.
I buffered into Wednesday.
okay, that's what I want to know, because I wouldn't want to have a Q&A town hall and
No.
we're missing, or
agree.
everybody's background check isn't there. So
I
now
agree.
when the background checks come, how then do we receive them? Or how do we go through them before Wednesday night?
So, thank you for that. There is a resolution on how the background checks should be handled. Is it okay if I walk you briefly through that process?
Um, it's the commission. I think
Is it
They
gonna be the
tired.
same process that they're gonna
Yes.
show that we're gonna open it in the public?
Yes.
Can you give us the
I will-
30-second version?
yeah.
I will bring copies of the level one that you can open. However, I will open my copy and write a report. This shouldn't be a surprise to all of us, but I do want you to have a copy. Now, legally, you cannot review the level two without going through the 3 types of training I had to go through to get access to the system. I'm sure Chief Otley knows all about this. So I will view the results as soon as they are available, and I will write a report that I will sign off on.
So what I am requesting
Yes.
is your report is the cliff notes of the background, so that, because since we have a very small window
Yes.
from the time you receive it to Wednesday, if you could just give us that brief synopsis, a cliff note, because truth be told, none of us are, we don't know how to read background checks. So either you walk us through it, or you go through it, muddle through it, and then give us that brief
I do
synopsis.
these
I prefer that. Okay.
all day, every day in my work.
Now, will
Uh,
those cliff notes include the level 2? Or you
Yes.
can't? Okay.
No, yes.
Okay.
You can't see the actual database, but I will give you a summary of the report. And I will give you a copy of the level one report with a summary as well. But
Let
you
me-
will have to give those back. to
Let me pause. I'm sorry. Let me
Please don't.
defer to Madam Attorney. I think I'm saying something, maybe I'm wrong. So I asked for cliff notes, but now that I think about it, if we're talking about a background check, maybe this cannot go on paper, this information.
What I'm hearing Ms. Adams say is she can give you a summary of the level 2 background check. She can give you the level 1 background check, the information in its entirety.
Okay.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is, I don't know how to read I don't know how, like I'm saying,
She's saying
Oh.
she's going to give you a summary so that you
well,
don't
you
have
said
to.
summary for level 2
Yeah.
and give us level 1. That's what you just
No, I will give you a summary of both.
Oh, confusing me. Okay, so now we're gonna get a summary of both.
Yes.
Okay.
So there's a piece of information I'd not mentioned, which you may not even want. And that is, do you want a copy of the level one report? You don't have to receive one. You can just review my report of the level one and the level two, and we can use that time to discuss any questions you may have from the report. I can have the level one report with me to refer to based on the questions you have.
Okay. Okay, so I think that if you do that, you should also collect it back from us so that we're not taking that
You
information
must take, yes,
outside as
Yes.
well. So if you receive the background checks on Monday, the level 1 and level 2,
yes.
then
I will inform the clerk immediately.
immediately, so
Immediately.
that by Tuesday, and really you would have to make yourself available throughout the day, and I'm not trying to give you a directive, but
No,
I'm
I will
saying
be.
on Tuesday, so that all 5 of us before Wednesday are able to have either a Zoom with you, a conversation, some type of process where we speak with you so that we're prepared Wednesday night with, accurate information and not, what we think we saw or what we think we read, type of information, if that makes sense to the board.
I agree
Mr.
with
Mayor,
that.
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Commissioner.
I'm done. Thank you.
Commissioner Kelly?
I'm trying to follow the my timeline of my colleague. She suggested, which I would agree, we need time to look at it, but you just referenced you confident you'll have it back by Wednesday.
I've been told, yes.
But she's referencing Tuesday, to be available, assuming you get it back on Monday.
What I've said is, as soon as it's available, and her, I think in theory was, so if it's Monday, you
theory, yeah.
would, yes, in theory. And I said immediately I would,
Okay, so that goes to my question, my point, I guess. If you're confident, it's probably Wednesday more so than the other days. I got if you get it early, but that's why I guess the mayor is offering that window of
Yeah.
all the way to the 8th.
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right.
So to reiterate,
Yes, ma'am.
I get the report. I draft a summary of both reports. I get that to you all, and I'm available immediately for any one-on-one Q&A. Is this correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Thank you. Are there any other questions?
No other questions.
May I
But we
ask
do
you
need to make a motion.
Yes.
All right, so Madam Clerk, Madam Attorney, my motion is to extend the
final interview
interviews
session.
from instead of
What
March
did you
1st
call
to
it,
March 8th.
Commissioner Williams? You called it,
Q&A.
Q&A
I don't know. What did I say?
Forum.
Forum, yes.
Forum and vote on or before March 8th. All
Yeah,
right.
That's fine. We can
Okay.
put that in a motion for.
All right, so the motion is on the floor. Can I get a second?
Second.
Oh, okay. Everybody said it.
Oh, I don't care.
Okay, Commissioner Bass and Madam Clerk. So it's moved by Mayor Taylor, second by Commissioner Bass. We can go and call the vote.
Vice Mayor Irvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
Commissioner Bass.
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right, and so we don't have to come back to me. Bingo is coming back on March 8th. We're really excited. Also, Bunny Jam will be at this year, not at Siegel, but at Ingram Park on is it the 23rd? The 23rd of March. That's a Saturday at 12 p.m. But we'll put it out on Facebook and send out flyers via email and information to the commission so that we can put it out in the community. What?
Who's the face of Bunny Jam?
Bunny Jam?
It's a city.
The Bunny Jam is all of us.
I know it's all of us, but I mean, it's going through parts, but.
The host of it? Yeah, I hosted it.
Oh, you hosted.
I've been
That's
hosting
what I'm
it.
saying.
Yes, sir. So I'm done with my report. We can start left to right.
Okay, I'll be quick. Save the day. It's on the same day, but it does not go into Bunny Jam because I'll be at both. Women's History Month is fast approaching. We're excited about, I'm gonna call it Women's Celebration Month because this is our month, ladies, and we're going to be celebrated all month. So March 23rd from 6 to 9 p.m., we will have the Sisters Soiree. The Sisters Soiree. And Sisters is all women. We are inclusive here in the great city of Opa-Locka. So save the date for the Sisters Soiree. Thank
That's all
you.
good.
March 23rd. I'm sorry?
Isn't that spring break?
Yeah, that's a Saturday.
The week before.
It's the week before, actually. Spring break is the last week of March.
Commissioner I'm sorry, Commissioner.
No.
So the Sister Soiree on the 23rd at 6 p.m. Me and Commissioner Kelly, because I know y'all got this girl power thing, so we invited.
Y'all should be.
Yes.
Commissioner. You have a
Oh, no,
report?
I'm good.
No report. Commissioner, Vice Mayor, you have a report?
Just a couple things, because I'm tired. I really want to thank the manager and his office for helping a longtime resident remain a longtime resident. As
her complex was trying to evict her. The manager saved the day. I thank you, sir. She's texted me several times. She's so grateful for what happened with her. Thank you so much. And if I may, we did not forget Black History this year. We did Black History 70s party, which was good. Dance, I'm sorry, which was good. And karaoke was great. And I know they say we have events. Yeah, we're gonna have events. March 24th, first, I'm planning to take some kids to the youth fair, free of charge. And also, I'm going to be doing kickoff to spring break pool party the Friday that there's no school, March 22nd. So if you can join us, please let Jalen know. It's gonna be Good Friday. It's gonna be a Good Friday. Mhm.
Is the no, I think that is Good Friday, Vice Mayor. No, it's not Good Friday. I'm sorry, it's not Good Friday. It's the week before. All right, you finished?
Thank you all. Yeah.
Okay. I did not mean it that way. Stop it. Commissioner Kelly.
Yes, briefly, thank you, Mr. Mayor. We had our DMV outreach at Helen Miller Center the other week, and of course, it's always successful. We're working with the community partner, I said like that, to hopefully support this effort going forward. They're want to partner, donate. I got to figure it out with the legal department how we're going to do it, and the manager's office how we're going to get their assistance. But they want to be able to help out residents in the city who have driving license issues, et cetera, that they have to pay a fine to get them back on the road in case they need the help. So we're working on that. That's it. A short report tonight. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, so we're moving along to our official board appointments.
I have one.
Vice Mayor?
Yes, I would like to, my appointment for the Charter Review Board, Ms. Chanel Edwards.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right, as it relates to the boards, Mr. Manager, we appoint people to boards, but none of our boards are meeting outside of the Parks and Rec Board. The Youth Advisory Board has not met. The Financial Oversight Board has yet to meet. The Charter Review Board, they have a quorum and they have not met. But none of our boards are meeting. PZAP is meeting, but none of our other boards that have appointments are meeting. So can we please figure out where the breakdown is and get these boards off the ground? Because residents are calling, you all appointed me, but I'm not hearing anything. And I know we said we were waiting on a board clerk for the young teen and young adult board, but they're not meeting.
There's been a board clerk appointed for the Young Teen and Adult Board for months now, and I believe that's Ashley Walker. And she's actually even come to the commission and presented an update on her challenges with getting a quorum. I have her available here tonight, and she can also provide an update on that board as well. So maybe we can flesh out what some of the issues are, and we can get some guidance from the commission on how you all want us to move forward and address those.
We just want the boards to, well, I just want the boards to start meeting.
We all do.
And I don't want to go back and forth on that because it's just a he say, she say type stuff. And we don't need to go there. So, yeah, let's reach out one more time.
Yes.
And
sir.
if these boards are not working, then bring us back a report so that we can move forward or maybe move in a different direction.
Okay.
Any other concerns? All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Oh, Mr. Mayor?
Commissioner Wood, sorry, Mr. Manager.
Yes, sir. We do have a PZAB board scheduled for March 5th. I do not see it here on the calendar. So I wanted to make sure that the community is aware and the commission is aware that will be a planning and zoning board meeting on March 5th here in the commission chambers at 7 p.m.
All right, PZAB board, March 5th.
Mr. Mayor?
Madam Clerk.
may I?
Sure.
So it's not on the agenda. I know I spoke to Planning and Community Development about setting up the actual agenda on Civic Clerk so that they can upload the documents to create that agenda, but I don't recall receiving that notification for that meeting, the actual notice.
Okay, so Mr. Manager, can you please ensure that the clerk gets the meeting so that she can properly advertise it, please?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
The audience said it.
Everybody know
Moved by
mine.
Commissioner Williams. Can I get a second? Second by Vice Mayor. This meeting is adjourned. Have a great night.